Chapter 699. Of course, Wang Haoren would only know Gu Hongyi's location when the soul imprint was triggered. And once it was triggered, Gu Hongyi would definitely sense it with her soul. Frankly speaking, this was a one-time location. Wang Haoren did not need to use it at the moment. The reason why he had left this soul imprint was because he was afraid that Su Xian would leave the effective range of the blood origin curse when he wanted to kill him. After all, Wang Haoren's current cultivation was limited, and the range of his technique could not be as large as the blue planet. If Su Xian was too far away, the blood origin curse would not be able to kill him. It's a small matter to you, but a big one to me. Anyway, I still have to thank you. Gu Hongyi smiled. Good, then I've received your thanks. Wang Haoren nodded, as if he was asking her to leave. Wang Haoren had not seen enough of the group of beauties outside. Gu Hongyi was naturally a hindrance to him by staying here. But after Wang Haoren finished speaking, Gu Hongyi did not leave, and instead looked hesitant. If there's anything else, you can speak frankly. Wang Haoren saw her hesitant look and said, The matter between you and Su Qingtong. Gu Hongyi probed. After her quarrel with Su Xian, she had calmed down. Su Xian was biased against Wang Haoren, but she was also speaking from Wang Haoren's perspective. From an objective point of view, stealing someone's love was indeed not very honorable. The matter between me and Su Qingtong. Wang Haoren could vaguely guess what she wanted to ask, and asked with a faint smile, Do you also think that I'm a despicable person who stole someone's love? I don't think you are, but I want to know the reason. Can you tell me? Wang Haoren was silent for a while, thinking about how to make up a story. Several seconds later, he had an idea and suddenly sighed. In your eyes, I'm stealing someone else's love, but you don't know who Su Qingtong was to me in her previous life. Su Qingtong's past life. Gu Hongyi was surprised. In my previous life, Su Qingtong was my concubine. In my previous life, I encountered a great enemy. Before we both died, we promised to meet again in our next life. But Qingtong's cultivation was not high enough, so she was unable to retain the memories of her previous life. Wang Haoren's eyes were blurred, as if he had sunk into his memories. After I reincarnated, I've been looking for her everywhere. This is what I promised her. But what I didn't expect was that Su Xian would intervene. But it was fate. After I met Qingtong for the first time, she fell in love with me. This was not an accident, but our unfinished fate. It was something that was destined long ago. Gu Hongyi was enlightened after hearing this. I see. I've misunderstood you. It doesn't matter. I don't care what others think. However, I don't want anyone else to know about this. Wang Haoren warned. Of course. This little girl will never speak carelessly. Gu Hongyi solemnly said, the confusion and gloom in her heart instantly disappearing like smoke in the wind. Although she had somewhat lost her mind in trusting him, she had not made a mistake. Gu Hongyi's mood also improved a lot. Existing in the form of soul is extremely restrictive, and you will not be able to recover your former strength. Have you ever thought of rebuilding your body? Wang Haoren suddenly asked. I was assassinated, and there is not a moment when I don't want to rebuild my body and take revenge. Hatred surfaced in Gu Hongyi's beautiful eyes. Wang Haoren did not find this strange at all. Gu Hongyi's misfortune had clearly drawn Su Xian's hatred. In Su Xian's story, he would definitely show off because of this matter. Simply put, Su Xian wanted to take revenge for his master. It will be very difficult for you to rebuild your body. Wang Haoren said, although I took Su Xian as my disciple because I felt that his talent was pretty good, part of the reason was that I hoped that he would be able to grow and rebuild my body. Gu Hongyi did not hide anything. If you want to wait for Su Xian to do this, it will take a very, very long time. Wang Haoren reminded. Of course I understand, but this matter cannot be rushed. Gu Hongyi said helplessly. That might not be the case. Wang Haoren smiled mysteriously. Gu Hongyi was taken aback. She could not help but become excited, but she was too embarrassed to say it. I can help you. Wang Haoren volunteered. Ever since he had reached Foundation Establishment, the second floor of the sky-splitting tower had automatically opened. The second floor of the sky-splitting tower was where he refined pills. There were countless pill recipes and tools for refining pills. If the first floor of the sky-splitting tower was a cheat for time, then the second floor was a cheat for refining pills. As long as he had enough materials, Wang Haoren could refine all kinds of pills on the second floor of the sky-splitting tower and become the strongest alchemist in the cultivation world. Wang Haoren could even refine pills for tribulation, transcending immortal venerables on the second floor of the sky-splitting tower. It was completely possible for an alchemist to rebuild Gu Hongyi's body. Gu Hongyi had the preconceived notion that Wang Haoren was an immortal emperor, so she naturally did not doubt Wang Haoren's claim that he could rebuild her body. However, in her understanding, this was something that required a lot of energy and time. Gu Hongyi did not dare to accept such a great favor, so she said fearfully, "You and I have only known each other for a short period of time. I am ashamed to accept such a great favor. I have already spoken, and there is no reason for me to take it back." Wang Haoren's expression showed some pride. Immortal emperors do not joke. Gu Hongyi was flattered. "Why are you so good to me? Why am I so good to you? You're just an illusory spirit without a body. Even if I managed to woo you, what could I do?" Wang Haoren inwardly complained, but on the surface, he spoke in an enigmatic manner. "There is a line of marriage between us in the future. I am merely going with the flow, but whether you accept it or not is entirely up to you." Gu Hongyi's cultivation was still far from reaching the level of peaking into the heavenly Tao, but she did not doubt Wang Haoren's words. After all, the fact that she had fallen in love with him was the best proof. "I am but a mere spirit. How could I dare to defy the heavenly Tao?" Gu Hongyi blushed as she tactfully replied. In other words, she was accepting Wang Haoren's favor and was willing to accept the fruit of marriage. "Then from today onwards, you will be one of this emperor's concubines," Wang Haoren said with a smile. "Greetings, Emperor." Gu Hongyi's figure floated in the air and gently bowed as she said in a soft voice, "No need for formalities." Wang Haoren nodded, before hinting, "Although this emperor can help you reconstruct a body, I am still lacking the materials, and I'm also busy with other matters. Leave this matter to me and Su Xian," Gu Hongyi hurriedly said. She was only a spirit and could not stay in the outside world for too long. Most of her time was spent recuperating in the ring, and the things she could do were limited. Naturally, she needed Su Xian's help. That would be great. Wang Haoren gave an indifferent response on the surface, but he was secretly delighted. He had said this because he wanted Su Xian to be the coolie. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, it is best not to mention this matter to Su Xian. At the very least, do not mention me. I do not want others to know my true identity. Wang Haoren warned, "I will tell Su Xian that I was the one who thought of a way to reconstruct a body." Gu Hongyi thought of a good reason. "Why are all of you so free? Don't you need to cultivate?" An icy voice sounded from outside. Gu Hongyi could sense that the person who spoke had an extremely high cultivation base, and was afraid that she would be exposed. Hence, she said, "Emperor, I shall take my leave first. Go." Wang Haoren nodded. Gu Hongyi turned into a streak of light, and flew out from a place where the people outside could not see. Outside the door, Hua Feishuan was reprimanding the many female disciples who were watching outside the room. The female disciples were as quiet as cicadas in winter as they listened to her lecture. After Hua Feishuan reprimanded them for a while, she chased them away. Then, she looked at the tightly shut door not far away. Hua Feishuan was very displeased at this moment, and she was secretly blaming her disciples for being so disappointing. Her direct disciple, Hua Ju, was distracted, and the many beautiful female disciples of the Inui sect were here to watch like love-struck fools. All of them were incredibly foolish. Hua Feishuan came to the door of the room and knocked on the door with a resentful expression. Knock, knock. After he knocked on the door, a soft creaking sound of the door opening could be heard. The figure of a peerless and otherworldly man was reflected in a pair of beautiful eyes. Hua Feishuan was instantly stunned. Chapter 700. Ding! Congratulations to host Luck for meeting the female lead Hua Feishuan for the first time. Super Peach Blossom Halo has triggered the first-class Pledge of Love effect. Ding! The female, lead Hua Feishuan's favorability towards host has increased to 80, unchanging feelings. Wang Haoran received 2 messages in a row. He was stunned for a moment before he laughed in his heart. When he heard the commotion outside, he knew that Hua Feishuan had come. He was still worrying about how to deal with her. As the leader of the witches of the Inues sect, Hua Feishuan's cultivation was definitely not simple. It would be difficult to deal with her. Who knew that when he opened the door and met Hua Feishuan face to face, he would suddenly receive such an unexpected surprise. After Wang Haoran laughed for a while, Hua Feishuan still hadn't recovered from her shock and was still looking at him in a daze. Miss. Wang Haoran waved his hand in front of Hua Feishuan's eyes and called out to her. Hua Feishuan recovered from her shock and realized that she had lost her composure. An awkward expression appeared on her face, but this awkwardness only lasted for a short while before she suppressed it. Greetings, young master. I am the sect master of the Inues sect, Hua Feishuan. I heard that young master has come to the Inues sect, so I came to see you. Hua Feishuan said in a gentle voice. So it's sect master Hua. Wang Haoran pretended to be enlightened and said politely, Greetings, sect master Hua. Young master, please don't stand on ceremony. Otherwise, it would be too much for me. Hua Feishuan covered her mouth and smiled. She looked at Wang Haoran with her beautiful eyes and said in a sweet voice. Wang Haoran inadvertently exchanged glances with her and felt a surge of emotions in his heart. He suddenly had the urge to embrace her in his arms, and even had the thought of ruthlessly ravaging her. However, when this emotion just rose, the heaven-splitting tower in his sea of consciousness suddenly buzzed and instantly dispelled this strange feeling of Wang Haoran. When Wang Haoran reacted, he was secretly shocked. His self-control was not bad, so it shouldn't be like this. Wang Haoran was surprised for a few seconds before he quickly came to his senses. This was because of Hua Feishuan's charm technique. As the leader of the Inues sect's demonesses, this Hua Feishuan was indeed not simple. No wonder the Flying Cloud Pavilion's pavilion master, Su Ao, had fallen. Wang Haoran replied calmly, Sect Master Hua is on the same level as my Wang family head. You are my senior. I should be courteous and respectful. When Hua Feishuan saw Wang Haoran's calm demeanor, a trace of astonishment flashed across her beautiful eyes. She thought to herself, is it because I haven't used this kind of technique for a long time that I've become rusty? Or is it because my charm is no longer the same as before? I can't even charm a young man in his 20s. However, Hua Feishuan quickly refuted such doubts. Her appearance was no different from when she was roaming the sacred region many years ago. However, after becoming the sect leader, her temperament had changed a little, and she was more attractive to men. Hua Feishuan didn't believe that she wasn't as charming as she used to be. As these thoughts flashed through her mind, Hua Feishuan giggled. Sir, are you not going to invite me in? Sect leader Hua, this way please. Wang Haoran wanted to see the seductive methods of this demoness. Naturally, he wouldn't chase her away. Instead, he moved aside and made an inviting gesture. Hua Feishuan smiled faintly and walked into the room with Wang Haoran close to her. A faint fragrance entered Wang Haoran's nose. Wang Haoran immediately felt a little restless, but he hid it well on the surface. After entering the room, Wang Haoran and Hua Feishuan sat opposite each other. Is Sir satisfied with this residence? Hua Feishuan asked softly. Luxurious and elegant, very good. Wang Haoran praised. It's good that Sir is satisfied. Then, are you willing to stay here for a long time? Hua Feishuan smiled and looked at Wang Haoran with anticipation. What does sect leader Hua mean? I don't understand. Wang Haoran had a puzzled look on his face. What I mean is, are you willing to treat this place as your home? Hua Feishuan said ambiguously. I still don't understand. Wang Haoran continued to pretend. My Inues sect is willing to be on good terms with the Wang family and form a marriage alliance. There are many beauties in the Inues sect. Are you not interested in any of them? Hua Feishuan maintained her identity as the sect leader and didn't mention her true intentions. Instead, she changed her approach. Thank you for your kindness, sect leader. However, I already have a partner. I don't want to waste her time. Wang Haoran tactfully declined. The Wang family has few descendants. Sir, you're the only son. In the future, you'll have to bear more children for the Wang family. The more partners you have, the better. Hua Feishuan argued. Sect leader Hua seems to know a lot about the Wang family. Wang Haoran was surprised. These things aren't secrets in the eastern region. Of course I know, Hua Feishuan said with a smile. Sect leader Hua really wants to form a marriage alliance with the Wang family? Wang Haoran asked with certainty. I'm not lying. Hua Feishuan replied affirmatively. Sir, if you're interested in anyone in the Inuit sect, just say it. I believe everyone, all the disciples will be happy. Hua Feishuan subconsciously included herself in the conversation, but she quickly corrected herself in order to maintain her status. I still need to think about it, Wang Haoran said. This is a big deal. You should think about it. Hua Feishuan wasn't in a hurry. She suddenly looked at the sky outside and continued. The Inuit sect has beautiful scenery and many wonders. It's rare for you to come here. Why don't I show you the way and admire it? That's too much trouble, sect leader Hua. Wang Haoran said politely. It's no trouble at all. I'm honored to be able to travel with you. Hua Feishuan smiled and stood up. Sir, please follow me. Wang Haoran nodded. After leaving the room, Wang Haoran and Hua Feishuan walked side by side, talking and laughing. Along the way, the disciples who passed by were shocked. In their impression, Hua Feishuan was a high and mighty sect leader. Most of the time, she was cold and aloof. When had she ever smiled in front of others? Moreover, she was smiling in front of a man. After walking for a while, Hua Feishuan brought Wang Haoran to a cliff. Standing on the cliff and looking out, there was a sea of clouds in front of them. It looked beautiful. Sect leader Hua, you're right. It's really a wonder. It's like a paradise on earth. Wang Haoran praised. This place is chosen by the seniors of our Inuit sect. We juniors are just blessed by them. Hua Feishuan's beautiful eyes stared straight at Wang Haoran as she continued to talk about the previous topic. Since you like it, sir, you can treat this place as your home. After saying that, Hua Feishuan threw away some of her dignity as a sect leader and continued. Anyone in the Inuit sect, no matter who you want to marry, you can marry them. Sir, are you really not interested? Towards the end, Hua Feishuan's voice even had a hint of bewitchment. Upon hearing Hua Feishuan's words, Wang Haoran pretended to be confused and said involuntarily, Anyone? Does that include sect leader Hua? Chapter 701. Hearing Wang Haoran's words, Hua Feishuan pretended to be startled. Her face blushed a little as she apologized. I misspoke just now. After a pause, she changed the topic and said shyly, But if young master doesn't mind my humble appearance, I will do as young master says. Sect master Hua, are you serious? Wang Haoran hurriedly asked. How would I dare to play tricks on young master? Hua Feishuan pretended to be terrified. Then, she stretched out her jade-like hand and took off a hairpin from her hair. Her black hair cascaded down like a waterfall, and boundless charm appeared on Hua Feishuan's rosy face. Soon, the belt around her waist and her palace dress fell to the ground one after another. Then, Hua Feishuan's voice sounded. This is my sincerity. Young master, do you believe me now? Wang Haoran was stunned. He didn't expect Hua Feishuan to be so unrestrained. In an instant, an indescribable impulse rose from his heart, and it seemed to cover all his reason. But at this moment, the heaven-splitting pagoda in his sea of consciousness buzzed, and Wang Haoran came back to his senses. At this moment, Wang Haoran looked in front of him again. He saw Hua Feishuan in her palace dress. Her hair was in a bun, and it didn't fall down. It was just like when he first saw her. Wang Haoran realized that what he saw just now was an illusion. The leader of the demonic women was really something. If it weren't for the heaven-splitting pagoda, he might have fallen for her trick just now. Seeing that Wang Haoran was in a daze and didn't do anything, Hua Feishuan was puzzled. Young master, why aren't you saying anything? Do you think my sincerity isn't enough? Sincerity? Haha, I'm sincerely discussing this matter with Sect Master Hua, but Sect Master Hua treats me like a fool. Is this sincerity? A cold smile appeared on Wang Haoren's face as he exposed the truth. Sect Master Hua, you are clearly dressed appropriately. Do you think that you are completely unrestrained? Upon hearing this, Hua Feishuan opened her rosy little mouth in surprise. Only now did she realize that the illusion she created did not confuse Wang Haoren. Young master, Hua Feishuan grew nervous. She wanted to explain herself. There's no need to say anymore. Wang Haoren raised his hand to stop her. I've seen the scenery here. Thank you for your good intentions, Sect Master Hua. I'll take my leave now. After saying that, he turned around and left. Young master, please wait. Hua Feishuan was shocked. She stood in front of Wang Haoren and said, I was muddle-headed and wanted to test young master's willpower. That's why I used a little trick. I didn't mean to tease young master. Wang Haoren suddenly revealed an affectionate look inside. The first time I saw Sect Master Hua, I was so moved that I wanted to be a celestial couple with Sect Master. It's just that I don't dare to express my feelings because there's a gap between our identities. When I saw Sect Master Hua say that you're going to listen to me, I was so happy. Alas, Sect Master Hua's heart isn't pure. You just want to cultivate me into a puppet tool. When he reached the end of his sentence, the affectionate look on Wang Haoren's face had turned into pain. Hua Feishuan saw this and felt her heart ache. However, it was soon followed by a sense of ecstasy. She asked gently, Young master, do you really like me? Yes, I did. However now, Wang Haoren did not continue. He snorted coldly and walked past Hua Feishuan. Hua Feishuan did not stop him. She merely looked at Wang Haoren's handsome back as he left. She was in a daze. After Wang Haoren left Hua Feishuan's sight, he was bewildered. Of course, he was just putting on an act earlier. He did not know if Hua Feishuan had seen through his act. After all, a demoness like Hua Feishuan was the best at reading a man's mind. However, Hua Feishuan was bewitched by love. Her judgment would be affected, right? Coupled with his outstanding acting skills, it was possible that Hua Feishuan did not see through his act. Moreover, he had deliberately confessed his feelings. This would affect Hua Feishuan's judgment even more. Next, it was up to Hua Feishuan to see if she would be serious. Wang Haoren walked with light steps towards Su Qingtong's residence. He did not know if Hua Jiyu had purposely arranged for Wang Haoren and Su Qingtong's residences to be far apart. However, Wang Haoren's feet were on his body. No one could stop him from going wherever he wanted. Ding! The host has captured the female lead Su Qingtong for the first time. Obtained 16,000 villain points. Su Qingtong's female lead aura -800. Su Xian's protagonist aura -800. Host villain aura +1600. Ding! The female lead Hua Jiyu's favorability towards the host has increased by 15. Current favorability is 60. Admiration. Wang Haoren received 2 messages in a row. He completely understood what the first one meant, but what about the second one? What did his interaction with Su Qingtong have to do with Hua Jiyu? Wang Haoren thought for a while. He could not figure it out. The next day, at dawn, there was a knock on the door of the sect master's residence. It was followed by Hua Jiyu's voice. Master, it's me. Come in. Hua Feishuan's voice came from the room. Hua Jiyu pushed the door open and walked in. She saw Hua Feishuan sitting at the table in the room. The quilt on the bed was neatly folded. Master, didn't you rest last night? Hua Feishuan asked in confusion. When one's cultivation reached a certain level, one did not necessarily need to rest to recuperate. Diligent cultivators usually squeezed out their rest time to cultivate. However, the cultivation method of the Inues sect was special. Even in sleep, one could cultivate. Therefore, the female disciples of the Inues sect, except for those who took turns to guard the sect, would rest after a certain time. Even the sect master of the Inues sect, Hua Feishuan, was no exception. Moreover, Hua Jiyu knew that her master's habit was deeply ingrained and would not be broken easily. The quilt on Hua Feishuan's bed was neat and untouched. The female disciples who tidied up Hua Feishuan's room had not woken up yet. Obviously, Hua Feishuan did not rest last night. Didn't I tell you to reflect at the immeasurable cliff? Why did you come down? Hua Feishuan did not answer her disciple's question. Instead, She frowned and asked. Master, disciple suddenly came down. It's understandable. Joy filled Hua Jiyu's face as she circulated the Inuit devil art. Spiritual chi circulated, and a wave of fluctuation spread out. Hua Feishuan could feel the richness of this spiritual energy, and a look of surprise flashed across her graceful and elegant face. When did your Inuit devil art enter the grand completion stage? Not long ago. Joy filled Hua Jiyu's face. After the Inuit devil art entered major completion, Hua Jiyu's cultivation had also entered the 11th heaven true saint realm. Disregarding Wang Haoren, Hua Jiyu was like Su Xian. With her cultivation at the 11th heaven true saint realm, Hua Jiyu was one of the most outstanding talents in the eastern region. According to Hua Feishuan's original estimation, Hua Jiyu would need at least 2 to 3 years to enter the 11th heaven true saint realm. Who would have thought that it would be so early? Hua Feishuan pondered for a moment and felt both happy and worried. She had asked Hua Jiyu to reflect at the immeasurable cliff because she wanted her to sever the strands of love and prevent her cultivation from going berserk. However, Hua Jiyu had used another method to resolve this crisis. After reaching major completion in the Inuit devil art, even if she fell in love, it would not affect her cultivation. There was no longer the danger of cultivation going berserk. Chapter 702. Hua Feishuan was happy for her disciple. She smiled brightly, but her smile soon disappeared and she frowned. Hua Jiyu's sudden breakthrough at such a critical moment was obviously related to her falling in love. Not only did Hua Jiyu not sever her feelings, but she also fell deeper. She broke through the Inuit demonic art and reached the great accomplishment realm. This was an extreme method. Some disciples with average cultivation talent in the Inuit sect would also use this method to break through when they reached a certain age. However, looking at these examples, this method was too dangerous. It was almost impossible to survive. Hua Jiyu was obviously imitating her predecessors. She was lucky to break through. If she was just a little bit worse, she would have died. Jiyu, do you know how dangerous this is? Hua Feishuan scolded. Hua Jiyu was her only disciple. She had high hopes that Hua Jiyu would be able to support the Inuit sect in the future. However, Hua Jiyu used such a method to break through. It was too extreme. As the successor of the sect master, this was definitely not right. Moreover, Hua Feishuan had watched Hua Jiyu grow up. She had a deeper affection for her. Hua Jiyu did such an extreme thing. How could Hua Feishuan not be angry? Master, it was a little dangerous, but I'm fine now, Hua Jiyu said weakly. Hua Feishuan was very angry. She raised her hand and wanted to slap her disciple. However, she could not bear to do so. Master is the best. Hua Jiyu shrunk her neck. When she saw her master put down her hand, she giggled and hugged Hua Feishuan's arm. Jiyu, don't gamble with your life like this in the future, Hua Feishuan reminded her. I was too hot-headed at that time. After thinking about it, I still feel scared. However, the result is still good. Hua Jiyu smiled and then asked tentatively, Master, have you thought about who you want to rope in young Master Wang? Hearing this, Hua Feishuan's face showed a strange expression. How could Hua Feishuan not know Hua Jiyu's thoughts? This silly disciple risked her life to break through. Wasn't it because she could not let go of her feelings? If the Inuit demonic art had not reached the great accomplishment stage, this foolish disciple would most likely be seeking his own death by approaching Wang Haoren and would die from the backlash of the Inuit demonic art. But now that the Inuit demonic attack had entered the realm of large success, even if he was aroused, it wouldn't have any effect. Hua Jiyu's question was obviously a hint. If Hua Feishuan had not gone to see Wang Haoren, she would have agreed with Hua Jiyu. But now, Hua Feishuan had mixed feelings and did not answer Hua Jiyu's question. Instead, she said slowly, I went to see Wang Haoren yesterday. Oh, is that so? What kind of person do you think he is? Hua Jiyu asked. This person's willpower isn't bad, but he's definitely not a gentleman. However, he's not an extreme lecher either. Hua Feishuan said, if we really want to rope him in, the average female disciples of our Inuit sect won't be able to do it. The more Hua Jiyu listened, the happier she was. She continued to hint, I also think that if I want to rope this Wang Haoren in, will need at least a core disciple or above. He won't be interested in the average disciple. Her words almost implied that she, the sect master's only direct disciple, would be the one to do it. This person isn't simple. I'm afraid that even the core disciples won't be able to handle him. Hua Feishuan looked solemn. Hua Jiyu was overjoyed. She smiled and waited for her master to continue. Hua Feishuan paused for a moment and continued. So, I've decided to do it myself. All right, I'll definitely not disappoint you. I'll seduce Wang Haoran's soul and make him loyal to the Inuit sect. Hua Jiyu said happily. But halfway through, she suddenly realized that something was wrong. Master, what did you just say? Hua Jiyu was stunned. This person isn't simple. Even you might not be able to seduce him. Also, this person isn't a good person. He might have other women around him. You're my good disciple. I don't want you to be wronged. So let me do it. Hua Feishuan felt guilty, but she put on a righteous expression. Master, I think I can do it. I'll definitely be able to seduce him. As for having other women around him, I might feel wronged, but it's not like I can't accept it. For the future of the sect, I'll sacrifice myself. Hua Jiyu said hastily. No, the future of the Inuit sect depends on you. I'm afraid that you'll fall too deep. If that Wang Haoran harms the sect in the future, and you listen to him, I'm afraid it will bring disaster to the sect. Hua Feishuan said with a serious expression. Hua Jiyu was stunned, but she still wanted to fight for it. However, before she could say anything, Hua Feishuan suddenly said in a serious tone, Ninth generation disciple of the Inuit sect, Hua Jiyu, listen to me. Yes, master. Hua Jiyu saw how serious her master was, so she knelt respectfully. Hua Feishuan took out the Inuit sect's sect master's token. I'll now pass the position of sect master to you. From now on, you'll be the 9th sect master of the Inuit sect. After saying that, Hua Feishuan stuffed the sect leader's warrant in a Hua Jiyu's hand. Then, she helped Hua Jiyu up and let her sit on the chair. Then, Hua Feishuan bowed respectfully. Greetings, new sect master. Hua Jiyu was stunned for a while before she came to her senses. Master, I can't do this. I can't bear such a great responsibility. Please take back your order. I've already given you the token. There's no reason for me to take it back. I'll discuss with the elders and find an auspicious day to hold the sect master's inauguration ceremony. I'll pass the position of sect master to you. Hua Feishuan said. The reason why she didn't sleep last night was because she was worried about love. The Inuit demonic art of the Inuit sect was very special. Once one fell in love, it would be hard to free oneself. Moreover, the sensitivity of the Inuit demonic art was several times higher than that of ordinary women. After having that kind of intimate relationship with the person you fall in love with, you will feel a kind of attachment that you can't let go of, and you will completely fall into it. After leaving the Cloud Sea Wonder, Hua Feishuan wanted to give up her heart and become a couple with Wang Haoran. However, as the sect master of the Inuit sect, she had to consider some things. If she really got together with Wang Haoran and their relationship progressed to such a level, she would definitely listen to him in the future. If Wang Haoran wanted to harm the Inuit sect, it would be a disaster for the Inuit sect. Hua Feishuan was conflicted between the responsibility of the sect and love. But now, Hua Jiyu had mastered the Inuit demonic art and was qualified to take over the position of sect master. As long as she passed the position of sect master to Hua Jiyu, she would no longer be conflicted. If she lost the position of sect master, she would lose her power and her cultivation would be crippled by more than half. Even if what she was worried about really happened in the future, the disaster she could cause to the sect would be much smaller. Hua Feishuan's idea was beautiful, but unfortunately, she had the same idea as Hua Jiyu. Hua Jiyu was even considering finding an opportunity to resign from the position of sect master. How could she take over the position of sect master? Master, I refuse to take over the position of sect master. Hua Jiyu handed the sect master's token back to Hua Feishuan and said with a determined look. Chapter 703. Hua Feishuan saw her disciple's reaction and said earnestly, Jiyu, you are my direct disciple. In the future, the Inuit sect will need you to succeed. You are not even 20 years old, but you have mastered the Inuit demonic art. In the past records of the Inuit sect, This is enough to rank you in the top 5. You are a genius. After a pause, Hua Feishuan's expression became solemn. The heavy responsibility of bringing the Inus sect to greater heights will fall on you. After that, Hua Feishuan handed the sect master warrant back to Hua Jiu. Master, I am in love with someone else. I can't take the position of the sect master. Moreover, it is clearly written in the sect's ancestral teachings that if the sect master falls in love but can't cut it off, she can't be the sect master. Hua Jiu directly mentioned the ancestors of the Inus sect and questioned her seriously. Master, are you going to go against the ancestral teachings? The past sect masters of the Inus sect are watching from the heavens. Jiu, it is good that you remember the ancestral teachings. The reason why I want to pass the position of sect master to you is because of this ancestral teaching. Hua Feishuan was not frightened at all and said calmly. Hua Jiu was stunned for a while. When she came back to her senses, she said, Master, you also like the young master of the Wang family? Sigh. Back then when I roamed the sacred region, I had seen countless young talents, but I had never been moved by any of them. Who would have thought that I would fall in love with a man today, and even be unable to extricate myself? Perhaps this is my fate. Hua Feishuan let out a long sigh. This Wang Haoran is probably my nemesis. After sighing, Hua Feishuan patted Hua Jiu's shoulders solemnly and said, You are not in love. You haven't fallen too deeply. Everything is still not too late. I believe that you will definitely be able to cut off your feelings. Master, I really can't do it. Master, your cultivation is profound. It should be easier for you to cut off your feelings. Hua Jiu refused to give up. I have tried. I really can't do it. So, you should take over the position of sect master. Hua Feishuan played the emotional card and said softly, I have painstakingly cultivated you. I have never asked you for anything. Now, I only ask you to take over the position of sect master. Promise me, okay? Hua Jiu struggled for a moment before shaking her head at Hua Feishuan. Master, I can promise you anything else, but not this. Jiu, if you continue to be like this, I'm going to get angry. Hua Feishuan frowned. Master, you can hit me and scold me all you want, but I will never agree to take over the position of the clan leader. Hua Jiu held her head high. The master and disciple looked at each other, sparks flying in their eyes. It wasn't that the two of them hadn't thought of coexisting, but apart from the two of them, no one else in the Inus sect had the qualifications or cultivation talent to succeed the position of sect master. Both master and disciple understood that one of them had to be the sect leader. Even if they couldn't bring the Inus sect to greater heights, they couldn't let it decline. After looking at each other for a while, a sorrowful look appeared on Hua Feishuan's face. Jiu, I've actually been very lonely all these years. I've worked so hard to raise you, and I still have to take care of the clan. It's really tiring. Now that I've finally met a man that I'm interested in, can't you fulfill my wish? Let me live a leisurely life in the future. Master, this method might work on men, but don't use it on me. Hua Jiu didn't fall for it at all. Hua Feishuan's face stiffened, and she immediately put away the pitiful look on her face. Jiu, what exactly do you want? Tell me what you think. I don't dare. Hua Jiu whispered. Speak. Hua Feishuan said sternly. Master, it's impossible for you to withdraw from the competition. If that's the case, please forgive me for being disrespectful. Hua Jiu mustered up her courage and said sharply, I want to compete with you fairly. You unfilial disciple. Hua Feishuan was shocked and slammed the table. Hua Jiu shrunk her neck and muttered, Master, you're the one who asked me to say this. Hua Feishuan was stunned, and her eyes flickered. Although Hua Jiu's suggestion was bold and absurd, it was still a feasible plan. Moreover, she was the one who taught Hua Jiu those skills. Hua Feishuan didn't think that she would lose to her disciple. With that thought in mind, Hua Feishuan said, All right, whoever is the first to become his partner will be the winner, and the loser will become the patriarch of the Inmoon sect. Then it's a deal. Let's slap each other's hands as an oath. Hua Jiu was overjoyed and proposed. Are you afraid that Master will go back on her words? Hua Feishuan raised her eyebrows. If Master doesn't want to, why would she be afraid of a slap? Hua Jiu asked with a smile. As you wish. Hua Feishuan snorted coldly and slapped her disciple's hands 3 times. I still have something to do, so I'll take my leave first, Hua Jiu said, and left in a hurry without waiting for Hua Feishuan's reply. Hua Feishuan curled her lips in disdain. It wasn't a competition where the faster one would win. At dawn, Wang Haoran left Su Qingtong's residence and was about to return to his own residence. But when he arrived at the door, he bumped into Hua Jiu, who was about to knock on the door. Hearing the footsteps behind her, Hua Jiu turned around and smiled. Young master, you woke up so early? The scenery of the Inuit clan is so beautiful, so I woke up early to take a look around. I want to know the difference between the morning scenery and the rest of the day. Wang Haoran casually found an excuse to deal with it, but he was afraid that Hua Jiu would be troubled by it, so he changed the topic and asked, Young master, you woke up early as well. Miss, you've also woken up quite early. Furthermore, are you here to look for me? Hua Jiu covered her mouth and smiled. She said softly, I thought the same as you. The scenery of the Inuit clan in the morning is especially beautiful, especially the wonder of the sea of clouds. I came here to invite you to enjoy the scenery. I see. Wang Haoran pretended to be enlightened and nodded. Young master, are you interested? Hua Jiu asked. It would be rude if I don't accept your invitation. Wang Haoran wanted to see what tricks Hua Jiu had up her sleeves. Hua Jiu walked to Wang Haoran and waved her hand. She said softly, In that case, young master, please. Wang Haoran nodded and walked side by side with Hua Jiu. After walking for a while, they arrived at the wonder of the sea of clouds. The wonder of the sea of clouds in the morning was indeed more magnificent than the rest of the day. However, Wang Haoran wasn't really there to accompany Hua Jiu to enjoy the scenery. Hua Jiu was the same. Young master, you met my master yesterday, right? Hua Jiu suddenly asked. Yes. Wang Haoran nodded. Then did my master do anything special? Hua Jiu asked. I stayed here with your master yesterday for a while. But what was the special thing that Miss was referring to? I don't know. Please tell me. Wang Haoran said. That is, when you met my master, did you see anything embarrassing? Or did you experience anything embarrassing? Hua Jiu asked tactfully. Chapter 704. I did see some indecent scenes, but I quickly turned my head away, Wang Haoran replied. Sir, the scenes you saw were just illusions created by my master, Hua Jiu exposed. Illusions? I see. Wang Haoran pretended to be enlightened. Master wanted to use seduction to control you and make you listen to her. Fortunately, you didn't fall in her trap, Hua Jiu said with a relieved look. Aren't you afraid that your master will find out that you're talking bad about her? Wang Haoran thought to himself, but said, Thank you for telling me. Thank you for telling me, Mississippi. I will be careful of your master in the future. Hua Jiu smiled and nodded, but she was still worried. She took a jade scroll tied with a red string from her neck and handed it to Wang Haoran. This jade has the effect of breaking barriers. If you carry it with you, you won't have to worry about my master's seduction. This jade must be very valuable. I don't deserve it, Wang Haoran refused. Sir, please accept it. Hua Jiu forced the jade into Wang Haoran's hand. Thank you, Mississippi. Wang Haoran took the jade and hung it around his neck, wearing it close to his body. There was still some warmth and a faint fragrance on the jade scroll. Hua Jiu saw Wang Haoran's action and blushed. She wore the jade scroll around her neck, and it clung to her proud curves. Now that Wang Haoran was wearing it, wouldn't it be an indirect skin-to-skin contact? Miss, are you not feeling well? Wang Haoran knew what was going on, but he pretended to be curious and asked. Oh, I'm fine. Hua Jiu quickly put away her wild thoughts and asked tentatively. Sir, have you ever had that kind of thought about my master? I didn't know that your master used seduction. When I saw your master throw herself at me, I rejected her on the spot. Hua Jiu was overjoyed and added, You're so wise. Don't judge my master by her youthful appearance. She looks like a 20-year-old girl, but she's actually 32 years old. Oh, 32 years old? Wang Haoran was surprised. That's right. But please don't tell my master that I talked about her behind her back and revealed her age, Hua Jiu said. I'm not a talkative person. Wang Haoran vowed solemnly. Sir, what type of woman do you like? Hua Jiu asked shyly. It depends on how I feel. I can't describe it with words, Wang Haoran replied vaguely. Then do you think someone like me is your type? Hua Jiyu asked boldly. In terms of appearance alone, I admire you very much, Wang Haoran said. Gongzi, do you mean that you don't like my character? Actually, I'm not that kind of woman. I was just pretending to be flirtatious in the side hall. Hua Jiyu immediately explained. Previously, she was just tempted. In order to win over Wang Haoran, she acted flirtatiously. But after the roots of love were planted, she was very concerned about how Wang Haoran saw her. Therefore, she completely restrained her flirtatious behavior, afraid that it would cause Wang Haoran to dislike her. I'm not talking about that. Weren't you with Su Xian before? When you separated from him, you called yourself a demoness. You were fickle and ruthless. I didn't dare to provoke you, lest I follow in Su Xian's footsteps. Wang Haoran looked as if he was afraid of Tiger. This is different. My feelings for Su Xian were fake, Hua Jiyu hurriedly clarified. Then how can I tell if young ladies' feelings for me are fake? Wang Haoran asked in return. Hua Jiyu was stunned, but after thinking about it, she found that his words made sense. In order to ease Wang Haoran's worries, Hua Jiyu thought of a countermeasure and soon came up with one. Her belt and brocade clothes fell to the ground one after another. Gongzi, you're the first person to see me. Are you satisfied with my sincerity? Hua Jiyu asked in a trembling voice. Wang Haoran was stunned. As expected of the master and disciple, they used the same trick. The only difference was that Hua Feishuan was an illusion, while Hua Jiyu was sincere. Miss Yiyu, Wang Haoran pretended not to look at her and turned his head away. Gongzi, I'm telling the truth. If I'm lying, I'll die a horrible death. Hua Jiyu thought that Wang Haoran did not believe her, so she swore. Since you're so sincere, if I still refuse, I'll be ungrateful. Wang Haoran agreed. Hua Jiyu was overjoyed. She could not suppress her excitement and hugged him. I didn't expect you to be so kind. Then I'll offend you. Wang Haoran took advantage of the situation to reveal his evil claws. Gongzi, I didn't mean that. Ding. Host has captured the female lead Hua Jiyu for the first time. Received 16,000 villain points. Hua Jiyu's female lead aura -800. Su Xian's protagonist aura -800. Host's villain aura +1600. Ding. Female lead Hua Jiyu's favorability towards host has increased by 30. Current favorability is 90 until death. Ding. Host has influenced the plot. Received 10,000 villain points. Su Xian's protagonist aura -500. Host villain aura +500. At sunrise, Wang Haoran and Hua Jiyu left the Cloud Sea Wonder and headed towards the Inuit sect. On the way, Hua Jiyu held onto Wang Haoran's arm. Her charming face was filled with sweetness, happiness, and pride. Although things were much faster than she expected, she did not have to be the sect leader anymore. Master, you lost. Hua Jiyu laughed inwardly. The cultivation technique we practiced just now is really mysterious. I just entered the 11th Heaven True Saint Realm not long ago, but I'm about to reach the 12th Heaven True Saint Realm. Moreover, it doesn't conflict with the Inuit devil art that I cultivate. Hua Jiyu suddenly exclaimed. This is a supreme cultivation technique. Of course, the cultivation speed is fast. It can be compatible with many cultivation techniques. Wang Haoran explained simply. If we cultivate every day, won't I surpass Master soon? Hua Jiyu looked forward to it, but the moment she said it, her face turned red. I really didn't expect you to be so thin-skinned. Wang Haoran laughed. Do you believe that I'm faking it now? Hua Jiyu asked. I believe you. However, your current appearance is quite interesting. Wang Haoran said with a hint of yearning. Hua Jiyu understood the thoughts of men very well. When she saw Wang Haoran's expression, she immediately understood. The next time, I'll definitely show you how frivolous I am. Wang Haoran's heart burned a little, but he suddenly thought of another matter and seriously exhorted. I need to explain to Qingtong. Don't announce our relationship for the time being. Of course, but you should tell my master about it. Hua Jiyu said, absolutely not. If you tell your master, it'll be the same as announcing it directly. Qingtong will definitely know. Wang Haoran naturally wouldn't agree. Chapter 705. In fact, Wang Haoran didn't care if Su Qingtong knew, but he was afraid that Hua Feishuan knew. Because if Hua Feishuan knew, then his plan would be ruined. In fact, relatively speaking, Wang Haoran felt that Hua Feishuan was more important. Hua Feishuan was the sect master of the Inuit sect and could mobilize the resources of the Inuit sect. Although the second floor of the Kaitian Tower was a cheating tool for alchemy, how could he refine without materials? If he settled Hua Feishuan, then wouldn't he be able to use the resources of the Inuit sect as he wished? Although the Wang family was big, one of the two old fellows of the Wang family was not far from the end of his life and spent a lot of resources to break through. The other was afraid that the Wang family would decline after the old ancestor left, so he was also eager to break through. The Wang family's cultivation resources were basically used up by the two of them. There were almost no usable resources in the warehouse. Without counting the Wang family's old ancestor, the Wang family wouldn't be able to hold the position of the Eastern region's overlord. Not to mention far, just the Inuit sect's Hua Feishuan's cultivation was a few small realms higher than Wang Wanli. If the Wang family had the resources, Wang Haoran would have started alchemy long ago. Why would he have thought of the Inuit sect? Hua Jiu wasn't very willing to accept Wang Haoran's words, but she cared about Wang Haoran's feelings, so she asked, "How long will it take to appease Su Qingtong?" "Give me 3 days." Wang Haoran thought for a few seconds and set a time limit. Hua Feishuan's current favorability was already 80. If he couldn't settle her in 3 days, then he should just kill himself. "Okay, I'll listen to you." Hua Jiu agreed happily. After all, it was only 3 days and it wasn't long. When they were about to reach the buildings of the Inuit sect, Hua Jiu let go of Wang Haoran's arm and kept a certain distance from him. Some of the female disciples passing by saw it, but they couldn't see anything at all. When they reached a fork in the road, Wang Haoran and Hua Jiu said goodbye and went to their respective residences. Wang Haoran walked a few steps and came to his residence. There was a beautiful figure at the door of his residence. "Young master, where did you go?" Hua Feishuan smiled and asked. "Your disciple, Hua Jiu, came to see me just now." Wang Haoran did not hide the truth. Hua Feishuan was not surprised at all. Didn't Hua Jiu leave in a hurry because she wanted to make the first move? However, judging from Wang Haoran's expression, the two of them probably hadn't gotten together yet. Once he succeeded, his good disciple would definitely come over to show off. "I have something to discuss with young master. Can we talk indoors?" Hua Feishuan asked. "We have nothing to talk about." Wang Haoran's face was cold. "Young master, I'm really sorry about what happened yesterday. After I returned, I blamed myself endlessly. Last night, I was so worried that I couldn't sleep at all." Hua Feishuan lowered her eyes and covered her face with her hands. She sobbed softly as she stared at Wang Haoran with her watery eyes. "Please give me a moment. I have something to discuss with young master. Is that all right?" Wang Haoran opened the door and walked in first. Hua Feishuan followed him in. Seeing that there was no one behind her, she closed the door behind her. The two of them sat opposite each other in the room. Hua Feishuan spoke first. "What did Hua Jiu say to young master early in the morning? Or did she do something?" "We went to the Cloud Sea Wonder for a while. She told me." Wang Haoran hesitated. "What did she say?" Hua Feishuan asked. "Sai, let's not talk about it. I don't want to affect the relationship between you and your disciple. If things go wrong, Sect Master Hua might think that I'm a chatterbox." Wang Haoran waved his hand. Hua Feishuan was surprised and even more curious. She promised, "Young master, please tell me. I won't say a word." Wang Haoran pretended to hesitate. Then, he said, "She said that you're 32 years old this year. You're an old woman who eats men without spitting out their bones. She told me to stay away from you." Hua Feishuan's pretty face twitched, and she slammed her hand on the table, leaving a deep palm print on the wooden table that was as hard as metal. "What else did she say?" Hua Feishuan's chest heaved as she asked. "She also gave me a piece of jade. She said that it has the effect of breaking barriers and can resist charm arts. This way, I won't fall into your trap." Wang Haoran took out the jade slip hanging around his neck and showed it to Hua Feishuan. "I refused, but she insisted on giving it to me. I had no choice but to accept it." Hua Feishuan was stunned. Her heart was filled with anger. She personally gave the jade slip to Hua Jiyu when she accepted her as her disciple. It represented their relationship as master and disciple. Now, she gave it to someone else, and it was to guard against her master, this traitorous disciple. Hua Feishuan was so angry that she felt dizzy. The so-called fair competition was to slander his master behind his back and speak ill of his master? How preposterous! Lord Hua, please don't be angry. Don't hurt yourself. Wang Haoran laughed secretly for a while and comforted her. Sir, Jiu has been with Su Xian before, and you should know that. When the two of them were together, something must have happened. Sir, you wouldn't like something that has been used by someone else, would you? Hua Feishuan's words were shocking. Hearing Hua Feishuan slandering her disciple, Wang Haoran was speechless. These two were indeed master and disciple. One was ruining her master's image behind her back, while the other was slandering her disciple. However, whether it was Hua Jiyu or Hua Feishuan who said it, it didn't affect Wang Haoran's interest. As a cultivator, Hua Feishuan was 32 years old. She was considered very young. Moreover, she looked no different from a woman in her 20s. It was true that Hua Jiyu was with Su Xian before. However, Wang Haoran had already checked, and everything was untouched. Sect Master Hua, aren't you afraid that your disciple will know what you're saying behind her back? Wang Haoran asked in surprise. Hua Feishuan felt that she had lost her composure. She quickly restrained her anger and revealed a gentle expression. She asked softly, Young master, do you have any thoughts about my traitorous disciple? Your disciple's appearance is rare in the world. Many men would be attracted to her. However, she's a little too young. I still prefer someone more mature. Wang Haoran hinted. Hua Feishuan was overjoyed. She smiled and said, Young master, are you saying that you like me? I did before. However, after being teased by Sect Master Hua, I don't have such thoughts anymore. Wang Haoran's expression was cold. He gestured at the door and directly asked her to leave. A man and a woman alone in a room. I'm afraid that people will gossip if they know about it. Sect Master, as the Sect Master of a sect, you should be more careful. Please leave. I'm not going to be the Sect Master anymore. Let them gossip about me. All I want in my life is you, young master. As soon as Hua Feishuan finished speaking, she reached her hand to her waist. Soon, something fell to the ground. This again? Wang Haoran narrowed his eyes. At the same time, Hua Feishuan's soft voice was filled with shyness, anticipation, and nervousness. My traitorous disciple gave you the barrier-breaking jade. Young master, you should be able to tell whether the scene in front of you is real or fake, right? Chapter 706. Sect Master Hua. What are you doing? Wang Haoran turned his head to the side. I'm sincere to you, young master. Do you believe me now? Hua Feishuan asked. I believe you, but please don't catch a cold, Sect Master Hua. You should. Wang Haoran tried to be polite, but before he could finish, Hua Feishuan interrupted him. I've long seen that you're not a gentleman. You're obviously interested in me, so why are you still putting on an act? Or are you just a block of wood? You can only look at the grand scene. Hua Feishuan's words were laced with mockery and mockery. Wang Haoran's expression froze for a moment. He turned to look at Hua Feishuan calmly and smiled wickedly. Sect Master Hua knows that I'm not a good person, so why are you still here? Young master is indeed not a good person, but he's not necessarily a heartless person. At the very least, he treats his women well. Otherwise, young master wouldn't have gone through so much trouble to look for young Miss Su Qingxian of Flying Cloud Pavilion, Hua Feishuan said slowly. Besides, I don't like pedantic gentlemen. I admire people like young master more. Are you sure you won't regret it? Wang Haoran asked with a smile. I've never regretted a decision I've made, Hua Feishuan said firmly. Wang Haoran stood up and walked slowly to Hua Feishuan. He held her by the waist and lifted her up. Wait, Hua Feishuan suddenly said. Sect Master Hua, are you going back on your words? Of course not. After you've fulfilled your wish, you'll have to acknowledge me as your woman. I'll need some time. I'll have to appease Su Qingtong and her sister first, Wang Haoran said. No problem. But after you're done, you'll have to inform my disciple, Hua Jiyu, Hua Feishuan said. Why is that? Wang Haoran was puzzled. Hua Jiu had said something similar before. That traitorous disciple is also interested in young master. She wants to compete with her master fairly, Hua Feishuan explained. When Wang Haoren heard this, he finally understood. No wonder this master and disciple were in such a hurry to express their sincerity. It turned out that they were competing with each other. But why must they compete with each other? Couldn't they be more harmonious? With that thought in mind, Wang Haoren asked tentatively, "Aren't you afraid of affecting the relationship between master and disciple?" "Young master, you actually want to ask why we don't serve you, right?" Hua Feishuan explained. "Sigh. The ancestors of the Yin Moon sect have decreed that if the sect master falls in love with a man, she can no longer continue to hold the position of sect master. Jiyu and I are the only ones in the Yin US sect who have the qualifications to assume the position of sect master. Both Jiyu and I have fallen in love, and one of us had to cut off our feelings. After some discussion, we decided to compete. The loser will sever their relationship and become the sect master of the Yin US sect. So that's how it is." Wang Haoren finally understood. Hua Feishuan exhaled. "I know that young master is also interested in Jiyu, but young master can only take one of them. If young master dislikes this humble one's looks and prefers Jiyu, then please put this humble one down." At the end of her words, she actually began to sob softly. If I put down now, sect master will definitely change her mind, right?" Wang Haoren saw through her and smiled. Hua Feishuan instantly stopped sobbing and praised in a sweet voice. "Young master, you really have great foresight, but this humble one dares to bet that young master won't put it down." She was only a foot away from Wang Haoren's eyes. She could almost see the passion in Wang Haoren's eyes and could more or less guess Wang Haoren's inner thoughts. Wang Haoren really wanted to throw Hua Feishuan to the ground in anger, but in the end, he couldn't resist Hua Feishuan's gaze. "Sect Master Hua won." Wang Haoren sighed. Hearing this, Hua Feishuan quietly let out a sigh of relief and immediately couldn't help but feel nervous. Ding! Host has captured the female lead Hua Feishuan for the first time. Received 16,000 villain points. Hua Feishuan female lead Halo -800. Su Xian protagonist Halo -800. Host villain Halo plus 1600. Ding! Female lead Hua Feishuan's favorability towards host has increased by 19. Current favorability towards host is 99 until death. You unfilial disciple, you are still too inexperienced to fight with your master. After the matter was settled, Hua Feishuan couldn't help but feel proud. "Young master, tell Jiu about this matter as soon as possible. After that, I will discuss with the elders and set an auspicious date to pass the position of sect master to Jiu." Hua Feishuan looked forward to it. "From now on, no matter where you go, this humble one will be willing to accompany you, young master. Can this matter be delayed for a few days?" Wang Haoren asked. "Why is that?" Hua Feishuan was puzzled. "Recently, I have been cultivating and urgently need some cultivation resources, but the Wang family can't provide them. I hope Sect Master can provide them. If Sect Master hands over the position so quickly, I can't ask Hua Ji for it, right?" Wang Haoren said. Hua Feishuan didn't want Wang Haoren to come into contact with Hua Jiu, so she quickly said, "Then this matter can be delayed for a few days. I will give you the Sect Master's token. You can go to the treasury and get whatever you need." Wang Haoren was overjoyed. "Thank you, Sect Master. I will remember Sect Master's kindness in my heart." "Why are you still treating me like an outsider?" Hua Feishuan said. "Thank you, my wife." Wang Haoren changed his words. Hua Feishuan's heart was filled with sweetness as if a honey pot had been knocked over. She felt that she was willing to die for the man beside her. It was still daytime, so Hua Feishuan didn't stay for long. After giving the Sect Master's token to Wang Haoren, she quickly left when there was no one outside. Wang Haoren looked at the Sect Master's token in his hand and couldn't help but smile. After leaving his residence, he asked a female disciple of the Inus sect for directions and headed to the treasury of the Inus sect. Seeing the Sect Master's token was the same as seeing the Sect Master himself. Wang Haoren could take anything he wanted from the treasury. The treasury of the Inus sect was much richer than the treasury of the Wang clan. Wang Haoran didn't hesitate and moved everything he could use into the sky-splitting tower. Then, he left the treasury and entered the sky-splitting tower. Before coming to the Inuit sect, his cultivation was at the 6th level of the foundation establishment stage, but now he was close to the peak of the foundation establishment stage. Su Qingtong, Hua Jiyu, and Hua Feishuan contributed greatly to his rapid improvement. Of course, the spiritual liquid in the chaos bottle was also a great help. After the peak of the foundation establishment stage was the golden core stage. There was only a step between the two stages, but even if Wang Haoran cultivated the Demon Emperor's internal scripture, it would still take a long time to cross this stage. However, as long as there were enough Stage 2 breakthrough pills, this problem could be solved perfectly. It was just that this kind of pill was incomparably precious and could only be refined by high-level alchemists. However, Wang Haoran, who had the cheat of refining pills, could refine it with his foundation establishment stage cultivation. The only thing he needed was the materials, and the treasury of the Inuit sect happened to have these materials. After Wang Haoran entered the sky-splitting tower, he began to study the recipe of the Stage 2 breakthrough pill in the sky-splitting tower. When he felt that he had studied enough, he began to refine it. Chapter 707. On the second floor of the heaven-splitting tower, there were a total of 99 cauldrons, divided into Tier 1 to Tier 9, corresponding to Tier 1 to Tier 9 pills. There were a total of 11 cauldrons for each tier. The tier of the medicinal cauldron was used to refine the tier of the pill. As long as the materials for refining the pill were sufficient, these cauldrons could automatically adjust the ratio of various materials and automatically control the flame in the cauldron to the most suitable temperature to refine the perfect pill. The reason why this place was called a cheating device for refining pills originated from this. What Wang Haoran needed to do was to provide power for the medicinal cauldrons. To put it bluntly, it was to inject spiritual energy into the medicinal cauldrons. With Wang Haoran's current foundation establishment cultivation, it was only refining Tier 2 pills. He could completely afford this consumption and even maintain the supply of spiritual energy for 2 Tier 2 medicinal cauldrons. In other words, he could refine 2 Tier 2 pills at the same time. And if the spiritual energy was excessive, there was still the chaos bottle. With a mouthful of spirit liquid, the spiritual energy would quickly recover. To be honest, this did not require any skill at all. It was nothing more than guarding the heaven-splitting tower and continuously injecting spiritual energy, which was a little boring. Wang Haoran chose 2 Tier 2 pills to refine. One was the Tier 2 breaking mirror pill, and the other was the foundation establishment pill. Needless to say, the Tier 2 breaking mirror pill's effect was to greatly increase the probability of breaking through to the foundation establishment realm. And the foundation establishment pill could increase the spiritual energy cultivation of the foundation establishment realm. Wang Haoran was now close to the peak of the foundation establishment realm. If he took some foundation establishment pills, he could truly reach the peak of the foundation establishment realm. At this time, taking the Tier 2 breaking mirror pill to break through to the next realm would have a higher success rate. After Wang Haoran prepared the corresponding materials for these 2 pills, he threw them into the 2 Tier 2 medicinal cauldrons and then began to inject spiritual energy into the 2 medicinal cauldrons. The medicinal cauldrons also began to operate. The foundation establishment pill was not a particularly high grade among Tier 2 pills, and it was relatively simple to refine. One cauldron could be refined in 10 days, and one cauldron was 100 pills. Including the defective pills, about 90 of them could be used. This seemed to be a flaw in the otherwise perfect, but in fact a success rate of 90% was already very terrifying. This was because it was already very impressive for an ordinary high-level alchemist to have a success rate of 50%. Wang Haoran had even figured out how to distribute the 90 foundation-building pills from the first batch. If he wanted to reach the peak of the foundation establishment stage, 3 pills would be enough. As for the remaining 87 pills, he would give 50 to Hua Feishuan and keep the remaining 37 for himself. After all, He felt rather embarrassed that he had taken so many things from the Dark Moon sect's treasure pavilion. These 50 Foundation establishment pills could be considered as repayment to Hua Feishuan. Hua Feishuan could be considered to have profited greatly. Based on the total value of the resources that Wang Haoren had taken away, it was at most 10 Foundation establishment pills. There were no alchemists in the Inuit sect. When they used those resources, they simply swallowed them. Wang Haoren refined these resources into pills, multiplying the benefits by countless times. This was the reason why alchemists had such a high status in the cultivation world. As for the breaking mirror pill, it was considered to be at the top of the Tier 2 pills. It was more difficult to refine, and it also took a long time. There were only 10 pills in one batch, and it would take 49 days. As for the Tier 2 breaking mirror pill, Wang Haoren had yet to figure out how to distribute it. This thing was more precious than the Foundation establishment pill. However, alchemy was really dull and boring. Fortunately, the time in the sky-splitting tower was much slower than the outside world. 49 days in the sky-splitting tower was only about 5 days in the outside world. However, during these 5 days, many things had happened outside. Wang Haoren went to the sky-splitting tower to refine pills and began to refine them excitedly. He couldn't get away halfway, so he naturally couldn't explain anything to the people around him. To the outside world, Wang Haoren had been missing for 5 days. Su Qingtong couldn't find Wang Haoren and was anxious. She looked everywhere, but couldn't find Wang Haoren, so she ran directly to Su Xian to question him. Su Xian, open the door. Su Qingtong came to Su Xian's residence and angrily kicked the door open. The thudding sound frightened Su Xian, who was applying medicine to his wounds, so much so that he almost fell to the ground. Su Xian's injuries had been hidden from others. Even Gu Hongyi didn't know. He wanted to take advantage of the fact that Gu Hongyi had just left to secretly apply medicine. Hearing the noise outside, Su Xian naturally knew that it was Su Qingtong. He quickly tidied up and went to open the door. Su Xian, Wang Haoren is missing. Did the two of you do something to him? Su Qingtong seemed to have lost her mind and shouted, Wang Haoren is missing. Su Xian was overjoyed when he heard this, but when he saw Su Qingtong's murderous look, he quickly restrained himself and shrugged. You're mistaken. I haven't seen Wang Haoren in the past few days. If the two of you didn't do anything to him, how could he be missing? Su Qingtong said angrily. His feet are on his body. He can go wherever he wants. You're looking for me when he's missing. What a joke. Su Xian said. Impossible. If he went somewhere, why didn't he tell me? Su Qingtong retorted. If he went to fool around with some woman, why would he tell you? Of course he's hiding it from you. Su Xian crossed his arms and said sarcastically. If he wanted to find another woman, he could have just gone. I don't have any objections. Why wouldn't he tell me when he suddenly left? Su Qingtong questioned. Hearing this, Su Xian's face twitched. He was extremely jealous. Wasn't Su Qingtong a bit too generous? Ding. Host indirectly damaged Su Xian's mentality. Received 4,000 villain points. Su Xian's protagonist aura minus 200. Host villain aura plus 200. Wang Haoren went missing in the Inuit sect. The first thing you should ask is the Inuit sect's people, not me. Su Xian didn't want to argue with Su Qingtong, so he changed the topic. I'll go, but if Wang Haoren's disappearance has anything to do with you, I'll definitely kill you. Su Qingtong's beautiful eyes revealed a fierce light. Su Xian's heart trembled. He wasn't afraid of Su Qingtong taking revenge on him, but Su Qingtong cared about Wang Haoren so much that he was really jealous. Ding. Host indirectly damaged Su Xian's mentality. Received 6,000 villain points. Su Xian's protagonist aura minus 300. Host villain aura plus 300. What's so good about Wang Haoren? Why is Su Qingtong so dead set on him? The jealousy in Su Xian's heart continued to rise. At this time, Su Qingtong had already turned around and left. It seemed like she was going to find the Inuit sect's people. Su Xian hesitated on the spot for a moment before following her. He also wanted to know whether Wang Haoren was dead or alive. If he was really dead, that would be great. In the Inuit sect's meeting hall, Hua Feishuan gathered the disciples and ordered them to search the Inus sect to see if there was any trace of Wang Haoren. After the disciples left, Hua Feishuan rubbed her temples, her face full of worry and melancholy. Chapter 708. After Hua Feishuan stayed in the hall for a while, a female elder who was in charge of the Inus sect's treasury rushed in. "Sect Master, I have something important to report. Is there news about Wang Haoren? Speak." Hua Feishuan was delighted and urged. "No." The female elder shook her head. Hua Feishuan was disappointed and didn't want to deal with other matters. "No matter what it is, let's talk about it later." "Sect Master, this is an urgent matter and we have to deal with it." The female elder hesitated for a moment before reporting. "The precious cultivation resources in the treasury are almost empty." "What?" Hua Feishuan was shocked. "Without my permission, even Jiyu can't touch the treasures in the treasury." "How can it be empty?" "I've already checked it. It's really empty," the female elder said with certainty. Hua Feishuan was already very irritable, and her mood became even worse after this commotion. Many of the precious cultivation resources in the treasury were accumulated by generations of ancestors and were used to cultivate the top disciples of the Inus sect. This was especially important to the Inus sect, as it was related to the future of the Inus sect. Now that it was empty, it was undoubtedly a disaster for the Inus sect. "You were guarding the treasury. How could you let the treasury be stolen?" Hua Feishuan stared at the female elder coldly. The female elder knelt down and said in fear, "Sect Master, I'm loyal to the Inus sect. How could I steal from the treasury?" "Then why are the treasures in the treasury gone?" Hua Feishuan questioned. "I check the treasury every 7 days and count the items in it. The last time I checked, everything was fine. However, not long ago, when I went to inspect the treasury, I discovered that almost all of the precious cultivation resources were gone." The female elder paused for a moment before continuing. "That's right." The female elder paused and continued. "The last person who entered the treasury was the young lord of the Wang family, Wang Haoren. He had the sect master's token, so I didn't dare to stop him. I gave him the sect master's token." Hua Feishuan didn't deny it. With so many things missing from the treasury, it must be related to someone. The female elder insisted. "If that's the case, why didn't you report to me 5 days ago?" Hua Feishuan questioned. "At that time, when the Wang family's young master left the treasury, he didn't bring anything with him. In addition, this person had the sect master's warrant, so he must have obtained the sect master's trust. Thus, this subordinate didn't deliberately check the treasury." The female elder guessed. But now it seems that the Wang family's young master was carrying an extremely rare storage item, like a spatial ring. That's why he was able to secretly take away the items in the treasury. After hearing this, Hua Feishuan also felt that this was very likely. This female elder was a senior figure of the Inmun sect. She was very loyal to the Inmun sect. When the previous sect master was still in power, he had sent her to guard the treasury. There would be no problem with reliability. From the looks of it, Wang Haoren must have taken away the things that were missing from the treasury. And Wang Haoren's disappearance was probably because he was afraid of being exposed, so he ran away. After sorting out her thoughts, Hua Feishuan was furious. She wanted to give the order to hunt down Wang Haoren, but she couldn't bring herself to do it. You can leave first," Hua Feishuan said helplessly. "Sect Master, since we've confirmed that the Wang family's young master stole the items in the treasury, are we just going to let it go like this?" The female elder was puzzled. "Leave." Hua Feishuan raised her voice. When the female elder saw this, she didn't dare to say anything and quietly left. Just as the female elder left the hall, Hua Jiu hurried over again. "Master, we've searched everywhere, but we couldn't find him. We've sent people to the Wang family to ask for news, but they said that he didn't return to the Wang family." Hua Jiu was as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. She said helplessly, "What should we do now? There's no need to search anymore. He must have left the Inmun sect long ago and returned to the Wang family. As for the Wang family's response, it's all fake." Hua Feishuan felt that she had seen through everything. "Master, why are you so sure?" Hua Jiu was puzzled. Almost all the precious cultivation resources in the treasury were stolen by him. If he didn't hide in the Wang family to seek protection, where else could he hide? Hua Feishuan sighed. The treasury has a barrier left behind by our ancestors, and there are elders guarding it. How could he have stolen so many things? Hua Jiyu said, I gave him the sect master's warrant. Hua Feishuan's voice was filled with regret. Master, he's not from the Yin sect. Even if he is, you can't just give him the sect master's warrant. Hua Jiyu was shocked and blurted out. Soon, she realized something and had a bad feeling. Master, you gave him something as important as the sect master's warrant. Could it be that it's all my fault? At that time, he told me that he needed some cultivation resources. I wanted to please him, so I gave him the sect master's token in a moment of carelessness. I never thought that he would secretly take away all the precious resources in the treasury. Hua Feishuan blamed herself and regretted it. This guy, Hua Jiyu's face was pale. She said sadly, Master, we were all fooled by him. Jiyu, you too. Hua Feishuan shuddered. Hua Jiyu's expression was sad. She told her everything about Wang Haoren. After Hua Feishuan heard it, her pretty face was as pale as a sheet. The two of them schemed against each other to win Wang Haoren's approval. In the end, they were defeated by Wang Haoren. Wang Haoren had even taken away so many precious resources from the treasure pavilion. Where did you hide my boyfriend? Hand him over. Su Qingtong came to the main hall and asked loudly as if she had lost her mind. Hua Feishuan and Hua Jiu looked at each other and saw the sadness and regret in each other's eyes. After Wang Haoren stole all the treasures in the treasury, he ran away and left Su Qingtong here. Was he not afraid that the Yin Moon sect would kill Su Qingtong to vent their anger? Clearly, Wang Haoren did not care about Su Qingtong's life at all. This guy could be said to be heartless to his own woman to the extreme. Hua Feishuan had long felt that Wang Haoren was not a good person. However, she did not expect him to be so heartless. At this time, Su Xian also came to the main hall. The atmosphere was a little strange. Su Xian did not know what was going on. He remained silent and did not say anything. Hua Jiyu, say something. Su Qingtong saw that no one said anything, so she asked Hua Jiyu. Hua Jiyu looked at Su Qingtong and felt that she was very pitiful. You still care about him? Don't be an idiot. That guy cheated me and my master of our chastity, and he even stole the treasures of the Yin sect's treasury and fled by himself. He left you here and didn't care about your life or death. Su Qingtong wanted to refute Hua Jiyu's words. However, when she saw Hua Feishuan's silence, she was stunned. Su Qingtong gradually regained some of her rationality. As the sect master, Hua Feishuan's reputation was extremely important. As a disciple, if Hua Ji was a fake, how could she defame her master? Hua Feishuan did not say anything, which was equivalent to admitting to it. In an instant, Su Qingtong understood a lot of things. Her face gradually turned pale. Beside him, Su Xian's lips began to tremble. However, his focus was different from Hua Feishuan and the others. There was only one thought in Su Xian's mind, and that was that the three beauties here had all been killed by Wang Haoren. Chapter 709. Ding. Host has damaged. Main character Su Xian's mentality. Reward. 6,000 villain points. Su Xian's main character Halo -300. Host villain Halo +300. Ding. Host has damaged. Main character Su Xian's mentality. Reward. 6,000 villain points. Su Xian's main character Halo -300. Host villain Halo +300. Ding. Host has damaged. Main character Su Xian's mentality. Reward. 6,000 villain points. Su Xian's main character Halo -300. Host villain Halo +300. In a remote area of the Yin sect, a tiny speck of dust on the ground glowed. With a ripple, Wang Haoren appeared. The 3 consecutive system notifications left Wang Haoren stunned. While Wang Haoren was dazed for a few seconds, a red streak of light flew over from the distance and turned into Gu Hongyi's image in front of Wang Haoren. Emperor, you finally appeared. It's been hard for this servant to find you. Gu Hongyi sighed. While Wang Haoren had been missing, Gu Hongyi had also been looking for him. However, Gu Hongyi was not worried about Wang Haoren's safety at all. She believed that as the reincarnation of an emperor, Wang Haoren would not be in danger so easily. Gu Hongyi had come to find Wang Haoren because she wanted to know exactly what materials were needed to reconstruct a body. This would make it easier for her and Su Xian to find them. I suddenly had some matters to attend to and had to leave in a hurry, so I didn't have time to tell you, Wang Haoren explained. Gu Hongyi nodded, but then she sensed something and paled in fright. Emperor, your cultivation. Wang Haoren had just come out of the heaven-splitting tower and did not expect Gu Hongyi to suddenly appear, so he did not deliberately hide his cultivation. With Gu Hongyi's powerful divine sense, she naturally sensed it. That's right. I've just stepped into the golden core stage. Wang Haoren did not hide it, and there was no need to hide it from Gu Hongyi. This servant congratulates Emperor. Gu Hongyi bowed and congratulated. No need for formalities. Wang Haoren smiled and then told Gu Hongyi about the materials needed to reconstruct her body. After Gu Hongyi memorized everything, she suddenly thought of something and hurriedly reminded him. Your Majesty, while you were gone for a few days, a lot of things happened in the Inuit sect. Su Qingtong was so worried that she almost went crazy. Hua Feishuan and Hua Jiu also knew that your Majesty took advantage of them, and Gu Hongyi's expression became a strange look on her face. In order to find Wang Haoren, she had expended a lot of soul energy to spread her perception to every corner of the Inuit sect. This was why Gu Hongyi had immediately rushed over when Wang Haoren's aura appeared in the vicinity of the Inuit sect. Gu Hongyi was Xingu. S. As concubine is. S. My beloved concubine is truly clever. Wang Haoren praised, tacitly agreeing with Gu Hongyi's words. As expected, Gu Hongyi nodded in understanding. Just as she was about to continue speaking, she felt her consciousness gradually fade, and her figure also dimmed significantly. Wang Haoren could tell that Gu Hongyi had used up her spirit, so he put her into the first level of the Immortal Emperor Pagoda. In the main hall of the Inuit sect, Su Xian was jealous and resentful. He had his own ideas about the three women in his field of vision, but Wang Haoren had done all of them. Su Xian felt his heart ache. At the same time, he felt that Hua Feishuan, Hua Jiu, and Su Qingtong were fools. They had been fooled by Wang Haoren. However, now was not the time to criticize them. Sect Master Hua, Wang Haoren stole so many valuable things from the Inuit sect. We should send people to capture him. Su Xian suggested. Hua Feishuan glanced at Su Xian with a mournful expression, but ignored him. Wang Haoren was probably hiding in the Wang clan. Should the Inuit sect ask the Wang clan for him? Would the Wang clan hand him over? Of course not. If it didn't hand him over, what could the Inuit sect do? Attack the Wang clan? The Wang clan's ancestor was still alive. That was no different from courting death. Furthermore, Hua Feishuan didn't blame Wang Haoren. She blamed herself for loving Wang Haoren too much. She actually gave Wang Haoren the sect master's token. Hua Feishuan was heartbroken, and she made a decision in her heart. She turned to Hua Jiu and said, Disciple, the position of sect master of the Inuit sect will be passed to you. Master, please take back your order. Disciple really can't take over the position of sect master. Hua Jiu felt like dying. How could she be in a mood to be the sect master of the Inuit sect? The precious resources in the treasury were used to nurture disciples in the 10th heaven true, saint realm, and above. They could have protected the Inuit sect for 300 years, but they're all gone now. It's all because of me. Hua Feishuan blamed herself. I've let down the past sect masters of the Inuit sect. I can't continue to be the sect master of the Inuit sect. I can only atone for my sins with my death. However, the Inuit sect must be passed down. Currently, only you are suitable for the position. Master, don't take it too hard. Hua Jiu exclaimed. I've already made up my mind. There's no need to say more. Hua Feishuan was determined. Hua Jiu knew that it was impossible to persuade her master, so she spoke of her thoughts. Master, disciple still can't let go of him. If he comes back and sweet-talks me, I might forgive him. At that time, if he wants to do something to the Inuit sect, I'm afraid I'll make the same mistake as you. Hua Feishuan was stunned for a moment. She wanted to say something, but she couldn't. In the end, she could only sigh. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. He won't abandon me. Su Qingtong finally recovered from her shock. However, she didn't believe Hua Feishuan's words. Hua Feishuan and Hua Jiu exchanged a glance. They pitted Su Qingtong and themselves. They were deceived by that guy, but they couldn't hate him. In fact, they even missed him. Are the three of you crazy? Su Xian listened for a while and felt his scalp go numb. He couldn't understand the three women's thoughts at all. Wang Haoran did such a thing. Shouldn't the three of them kill him? Hua Feishuan put the blame on herself. Hua Jiu still couldn't forget Wang Haoran. Su Qingtong was deceived, and she still foolishly chose to believe that Wang Haoran wouldn't abandon her. Wang Haoran hadn't known them for long, but they were so loyal to him. Could it be that because of their relationship, they had reached the deepest level? Su Xian suddenly remembered that a famous female author once said that the closest path to the depths of a woman's heart was. This was probably why Hua Feishuan, Hua Jiu, and Su Qingtong were so loyal. Su Xian suddenly hated the Taishian single-breath technique that he cultivated. If it weren't for the drawbacks of this technique, he would have taken Su Qingtong, Hua Jiu, and even Hua Feishuan. Why would Wang Haoran still exist? Chapter 710. Hua Feishuan, Hua Jiu, and Su Qingtong didn't know what Su Xian was thinking, nor did they care. Hua Feishuan felt guilty towards the sect and sad because she was abandoned. She had nothing left to live for. She just wanted to go to the sect's ancestral hall and apologize with her death. Hua Jiu didn't want her master to do that, so she tried her best to stop Hua Feishuan from leaving. Just as they were arguing, footsteps sounded outside the hall. A handsome figure slowly walked into the hall. In the main hall, 4 pairs of eyes looked over with a swoosh. The 4 of them were stunned. Among them, Su Xian was the first to react. He sneered and said, Wang Haoran, how dare you? You stole so many precious things from the Inuit sect, and you still dare to come back. I haven't seen you for a few days, and your injuries have healed a lot. Does that place still hurt? Wang Haoran smiled meaningfully. Ding. Host caused Su Xian's mentality to be damaged. Received 3,000 villain points. Su Xian's protagonist aura minus 150. Host villain aura plus 150. Su Xian's face twitched. It was fine if Su Xian didn't mention it, but now that Su Xian mentioned it, he felt a little pain. It wasn't just physical pain, but also mental pain. Although he could regrow broken limbs, it would take at least a year and a half to fully recover. Ever since Su Xian's Taishian single chi technique's drawbacks disappeared, he had been looking forward to getting rid of the title of a virgin. But now, he had to wait for so long. I knew you wouldn't abandon me. Su Qingtong was overjoyed as she jumped into Wang Haoran's arms. I had something urgent to do and left for a while. I didn't have time to tell you. I'm sorry for making you worry. Wang Haoran explained simply. Su Qingtong looked up at him and smiled sweetly. It's okay, she said nonchalantly. Hua Feishuan and Hua Jiu looked at each other and stopped arguing. Hua Feishuan's expression was a little complicated. Did you take away the precious resources in the treasure pavilion? I was the one who took it. Wang Haoran did not deny it. Do you know that those precious resources are related to the future of the Inuit sect? Hua Feishuan wanted to vent her anger, but when she looked at Wang Haoran's face, she couldn't bring herself to do so. In the end, she could only sigh and say, how do you want me to explain this to the people in the sect? Yeah, it doesn't matter if you lied to me or my master, but those resources are too important to the Inuit sect. Can you return them? Hua Jiu asked gently. Ding. The host has caused the protagonist, Su Xian's mentality, to be damaged. The reward is 8,000 villain points. Su Xian's protagonist aura minus 400. The host's villain aura plus 400. When Su Xian saw the reaction of the master and disciple, he could not help but be dumbfounded. Su Xian not only deceived them, but he also stole something so important from the Inuit sect. It was fine if they didn't want to kill him, but how could they be so gentle? What were they thinking? I've used up all of those resources, Wang Haoran said honestly. Hua Feishuan and Hua Jiu's faces turned pale as their only hope was extinguished. Without those resources, the future of the Inuit sect was also gone. Sigh. I trusted you too much and gave you the sect master's warrant. I don't blame you. I'll take responsibility for this. If there's a next life, I just hope I don't meet you again. Hua Feishuan was not angry. She just felt sad. Take Su Qingtong and leave. I don't want to see you anymore. Hua Jiyu was not as strong as her master. After she endured the pain in her heart, tears flowed out of her eyes uncontrollably. Why are you in such a hurry? I haven't finished yet. Wang Haoren was stunned for a moment. He quickly prepared a bottle and threw it to Hua Feishuan. This thing is enough for you to explain to the sect. Hua Feishuan subconsciously reached out to catch it. She opened the bottle and sniffed. Immediately, she smelled an extremely dense spiritual qi. She felt refreshed. She looked through the bottle and immediately recognized it. Surprised and happy, she said, "This is a pill. This is a foundation pill. It's a Saint Realm pill. After consuming it, it can directly increase your spiritual qi cultivation." Wang Haoren explained. Hua Feishuan's heart skipped a beat when she heard this. The Inuit sect's ancestors also had alchemists. However, there was no one to inherit their skills. Since then, the art of alchemy had declined. Until now, the Inuit sect did not even have a single alchemist. However, Hua Feishuan could still recognize the pill. Judging from the spiritual qi emitted from the pill, it was not a low-grade pill. This was because when she smelled some of the spiritual qi of the pills, she felt that her cultivation had increased by a little. Although the increase was very small, it was only because she smelled the spiritual qi emitted from the pill. Hua Feishuan was certain that if she consumed one pill, her cultivation would increase significantly. She was currently at the 19th level Saint Realm. According to her estimation, she only needed to consume 5 pills to reach the 20th level Saint Realm. Then, she could try to break through. If she consumed half of the precious resources in the treasury, she could also reach the same level. However, Hua Feishuan was unwilling to do so. She was more willing to consider the future of the Inuit sect. In other words, these 10 pills were comparable to the cultivation resources that Wang Haoren had taken away. There were 50 pills in the bottle. Was Wang Haoren returning it 5 times over? "You're an alchemist?" Hua Feishuan asked in surprise and joy. "Yes." Wang Haoren nodded. "I took the resources in the treasury to refine pills. However, I was too anxious and did not inform you. I was also afraid that you wouldn't agree, so I acted on my own. You won't blame me, right?" "Why would I blame you? I love you so much." Hua Feishuan was overjoyed. She did not care about her image as the sect master anymore. She walked towards Wang Haoren and threw herself into his embrace. Ding! Host caused Su Xian's mental state to be damaged. Reward: 8,000 villain points. Su Xian's protagonist aura -400. Host villain aura +400. Hua Feishuan snuggled up to Huang Xiaolong for a while. Suddenly, she felt a little unreal. "Are you really giving these pills to me?" "Of course. I took the resources of the Inuit sect to refine these pills, so I should give them to you. I refined more than 50 pills in total. I used a small portion for myself. The rest are all here. I'll give them all to you," Wang Haoren said generously. In fact, Wang Haoren had refined 2 batches of foundation establishment pills from the Inuit sect's resources. Excluding the waste pills, there were a total of 180 pills. Giving Hua Feishuan 50 pills was not a big deal. However, Wang Haoren would not tell Hua Feishuan such a big truth. However, Hua Feishuan did not know the situation. She would never have thought that Wang Haoren's success rate would be so high. According to some records about alchemy that Hua Feishuan had read in the sect's ancient records, the resources that Wang Haoren had taken away could at most be used to refine 50 to 60 pills. Therefore, Hua Feishuan did not doubt Wang Haoren's words. "I didn't entrust it to the wrong person." Hua Feishuan looked at Wang Haoren affectionately and sighed. Chapter 711. "Aren't you angry that I lied to you and Jiu?" Wang Haoren asked curiously. "What's the use of being angry? I can't bear to beat you or scold you, but I can't leave you. I can only forgive you," Hua Feishuan said with a hint of helplessness. When Wang Haoren heard that, he couldn't help but rejoice. A mature woman was indeed different. She was too sensible. He thought that he would need to spend a lot of effort to convince Hua Feishuan to let this matter go. Who knew that Hua Feishuan had already thought it through? Among the resources I took, other than refining the Saint Realm pellets, there are also breaking mirror pellets. I'll give them to you. Seeing that Hua Feishuan was so sensible and obedient, Wang Haoran wanted to reward her. Hence, he took out a small bottle from his pocket. Wang Haoran refined a cauldron of breaking mirror pills. There were a total of 10 pills. His luck was pretty good. Not a single one of them was a waste. He had used 3 of them to successfully break through to the Golden Core realm. Now, he only had 7 left. If Hua Feishuan's luck wasn't too bad, 7 breaking mirror pellets would be enough for her to break through. Hua Feishuan's cultivation was at the 19th Heaven True Saint Realm, which was equivalent to the 9th level Foundation Establishment Realm. The 20th Heaven True Saint Realm was equivalent to the Perfect Foundation Establishment Realm. If she cultivated normally, she didn't know how long it would take for her to break through. With the Saint Realm pellets and breaking mirror pellets, Hua Feishuan could easily break through to the 20th Heaven True Saint Realm. She could even break through to the 21st Heaven True Saint Realm and officially become a 3rd Order True Saint Realm expert. These things are too precious. Are you really willing to give them to me? Hua Feishuan asked in disbelief. The things Wang Haoran gave her were enough to raise her to the 3rd Order True Saint Realm. There was a qualitative difference between the 3rd Order True Saint Realm and the 2nd Order True Saint Realm. Currently, in the Eastern region, other than the only 3rd Order True Saint Realm expert, the Wang family's ancestor, there was no one else. If Hua Feishuan entered the 3rd Order True Saint Realm, the Eastern region's power structure would change. The Wang family's status would be threatened. One had to know that the Wang family's ancestor was already several hundred years old and was facing the end of his life. If the Wang clan's patriarch died, then the position of overlord of the Eastern region would change. I know what you are thinking, but since I am giving it to you, just accept it. I believe that you will not threaten the Wang family, Wang Haoran said. In terms of perception alone, Hua Feishuan was far inferior to Gu Hongyi in her soul form, and with Wang Haoran deliberately concealing his cultivation, Hua Feishuan was unable to see through Wang Haoran's foundation. Naturally, he didn't know that Wang Haoran was already in the Golden Core realm, which was equivalent to the 3rd Order Saint Realm. Ding! The female lead Hua Feishuan's favorability towards the host has increased by 1. Current favorability is 100, unchanging until death, AI. Even if you want this concubine to die now, this concubine will listen to you. I promise you that no matter what level I reach in the future, the Wang family's position as the overlord of the Eastern region will never be shaken. My Inua sect will be the first to support the Wang clan, and I will kill anyone who refuses to obey, Hua Feishuan said seriously. Then, if you enter the 3rd Order Saint Realm, you can't bully me with your strength. Wang Haoran joked. How can this concubine bear to do that? No matter how strong this concubine is, I will only be bullied by you. Hua Feishuan said affectionately. Ding. Host has damaged the main character Su Xian's mentality. Received 8,000 villain points. Su Xian's main character aura minus 400. Host villain aura plus 400. Not far away, Hua Jiyu saw this scene with a complicated expression. Hua Feishuan looked at her disciple and could roughly guess her thoughts. She waved her hand at Hua Jiyu. Hua Jiyu understood and slowly walked over. Her voice was hoarse as she said, Master, you win. Master, no one won or lost. Hua Feishuan shook her head. Hearing this, Hua Jiyu couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. She seemed to have guessed something, but she didn't dare to think about it. So she asked tentatively, Master, have you forgotten the ancestral teachings? Of course I haven't, Hua Feishuan said. The ancestral teachings are only to prevent people with ill intentions from targeting the Inua sect. Our Langjun has been so kind to the Inua sect, so why would he harm the Inua sect? Rules are also made by people. I believe that the Inua sect's ancestors in heaven will agree with my actions. Master, you. Hua Jiyu's sad face gradually showed joy. In the future, when there are no outsiders, don't call me master. It might be more appropriate to call me big sister, Hua Feishuan said half-jokingly. Hey, aren't you going to ask for my opinion? Su Qingtong was a little dissatisfied. Second young lady Su, what do you want to say? Hua Feishuan asked. First come, first served. You all have to call me Big Sister. Su Qingtong snorted. Hua Feishuan and Hua Jiu thought that Su Qingtong was going to make a scene. When they heard her say that, they were stunned for a moment before they smiled. Hurry up and call me Big Sister, Su Qingtong urged. Hua Feishuan and Hua Jiu didn't say anything, but they inadvertently glanced to the side. Su Qingtong was stunned for a moment before she reacted. The three women all looked at the only extra person in the room. Su Xian understood the meaning in the three women's eyes, and his face couldn't help but twitch a little. Ding! Host caused the protagonist Su Xian's mentality to be damaged. Obtained 8,000 villain points. Su Xian's protagonist aura a -400. Host villain aura plus 400. Young Master Su, please keep what happened here today a secret. If any news of it is leaked out in the future, don't blame me for being ruthless, Hua Feishuan warned. Hua Feishuan and Hua Jiu could be shameless, but the Inuit sect still cared about their reputation. If the people in the East region knew that the Inuit sect's master and young master had given themselves to the same man, the Inuit sect would definitely become the laughingstock of the East region. Being threatened like this, Su Xian was angry and uncomfortable in his heart. He didn't immediately respond to Hua Feishuan's words. Young Master Su, my voice was too soft. Didn't you hear it? Do you need me to repeat it? Hua Feishuan's voice suddenly became stern. She regained the dignity of the Inuit sect's master. However, if she wasn't nestled in the embrace of a man like a little girl, Hua Feishuan would appear more dignified. I'm not a talkative person. Please don't worry, Sect Master, Su Xian replied with a stuttering voice. That better be the case. Hua Feishuan said faintly. Young Master Su's injury has been treated. I believe there should be obvious improvement. Su Xian understood the meaning behind Hua Feishuan's words and felt even more stifled. Ding! Host caused the protagonist Su Xian's mentality to be damaged. Obtained 6,000 villain points. Su Xian's protagonist aura -300. Host villain aura plus 300. I'm really sorry for disturbing the Inuit sect for so long. I'm here to bid farewell to the sect master, Su Xian said. Go ahead. Hua Feishuan gestured towards the outside of the main hall. How could Su Xian not see that Hua Feishuan was chasing him away? Although he was unhappy, he could only helplessly say, I'll take my leave. After saying that, Su Xian slowly walked out of the main hall, looking back every 5 steps. The 4 people in the main hall didn't even look at him. When Su Xian left the main hall, the last scene in his vision was 3 beautiful figures squeezed in the same embrace. Su Xian felt his heart clench. At the same time, in the depths of a remote mountain, a beam of light suddenly soared into the sky. A frightening fluctuation of spiritual energy was emitted, but it was quickly restrained. Yi Fan, who was sitting cross-legged in the cave, slowly opened his eyes and muttered to himself. I didn't expect that this serious injury would be a blessing in disguise. It allowed me to step into the Foundation establishment stage. After pausing for a moment, a handsome figure appeared in Yi Fan's mind. A cold smile suddenly appeared on his face. Should I thank you or hate you? Yi Fan slowly walked out of the cave and looked at the sky in the distance. His ordinary eyes were shining. I've entered the Foundation establishment stage. It's time to pay you back for that 1 sword. No, it's 2 swords. After muttering to himself, Yi Fan turned into a stream of light and flew toward the sky. When one reached the Foundation establishment stage, they could fly and break away from the shackles of the earth. Only then could they be called a real immortal cultivator, because those below the Foundation establishment stage were all ants. The so-called peak of the refinement stage was nothing but a slightly bigger ant. Chapter 712. After Su Xian left the hall, Wang Haoren, Hua Feishuan, and the rest chatted for a while before finding an excuse to leave the trio's field of vision. Wang Haoren had Gu Hongyi come out of the heaven-splitting tower when no one was around. Gu Hongyi seemed to have only been in the tower for a while, but due to the different flow of time in the tower compared to the outside world, Gu Hongyi had actually been inside for quite some time. His originally dim spirit shadow had also become much more solid. Su Xian is preparing to leave the Inuit sect, Wang Haoran said to Gu Hongyi. Then it's time for me to go with Su Xian to search for the materials needed to reconstruct my body. Gu Hongyi was somewhat reluctant, but she wanted to reconstruct her body as soon as possible so that she would have a corporeal body instead of an illusory spirit. Be careful and do what you can, Wang Haoran instructed. I understand. Then I will take my leave. Gu Hongyi nodded, glancing at Wang Haoran a few more times before turning into a streak of red light and flying off. Gu Hongyi quickly found where Su Xian was and burrowed into the ring on his finger. Master, where did you go? Su Xian was puzzled as he used his mind to communicate with Gu Hongyi. I secretly went to the Inuit sect's library to take a look and found a way to quickly reconstruct my body. Gu Hongyi remembered Wang Haoran's instructions and did not reveal his whereabouts. Hence, she made up an excuse. Su Xian was overjoyed when he heard this. Is that so? That's great. He had long been looking forward to Gu Hongyi reconstructing her body. Firstly, Gu Hongyi would gradually recover her former strength after reconstructing her body, and he would be able to rely on her when the time came. Secondly, Gu Hongyi would no longer be an illusory spirit after she had a body. Su Xian's special wish would also have a chance to come true. Su Xian's mood improved a little as he asked, Master, what exactly do you need? Let's go find them as soon as possible. Many of these materials are extremely rare and will likely be very difficult to find in the eastern region. Gu Hongyi said somewhat worriedly. If we can't find it in the eastern region, then there must be one in the central region. Why don't we go to the central region? Su Xian suggested. Actually, that's what I'm thinking. I'm just worried that you might not be able to accept it once you reach a place where geniuses gather, said Gu Hongyi. Master, let's go to the central region. Su Xian said firmly. The entire sacred saint realm was divided into 4 parts: east, west, south, and north. At the intersection of the eastern, southern, western, and northern regions, there was a special place. This place was known as the central region. It was the most prosperous place in the sanctuary, and also the center of the sanctuary. In the central region, there were all kinds of powerful sects and ancient clans. It was the gathering place of the top forces in the holy region. For example, although the Wang clan could dominate the eastern region, in the central region, they could only be considered as the weakest. There were more resources and opportunities in the central region. Su Xian wanted to surpass Wang Haoran, so he naturally wanted to go to such a place. Moreover, Su Xian had an agreement with a young girl. That girl and Su Xian liked each other, but the girl came from a top force in the central region. The girl's elders looked down on Su Xian, so they took the girl away by force. When Su Xian parted with the girl, he swore that he would go to the central region to look for her after he became stronger. The girl also said that she would wait for Su Xian in the central region. She would wait for the day when Su Xian would marry her. After a discussion, the master and disciple left the Inuit sect and embarked on the journey to the central region. In a mundane world, 2 days after Yi Fan came out of seclusion, he found Long Qianshan. Where is that person? Yi Fan had effortlessly restrained Long Qianshan and questioned him coldly. When Yi Fan was injured by Long Qianshan on the spring Shanjiang River, he thought that Long Qianshan was hiding his strength. However, after thinking about it, he immediately realized that the familiar force did not belong to Long Qianshan. Yi Fan judged that the force Long Qianshan used was the young man who injured him in the Feng clan on the Fragrant Island. After Yi Fan left the mountains, he could not find Wang Haoran, so he could only start from Long Qianshan. I don't know what you're talking about. Long Qianshan vaguely understood that Yi Fan was looking for his master. However, he pretended that he did not know anything about Wang Haoran. The person who gave you power, where is he? Yi Fan repeated in a deep voice. What do you mean? I really don't understand. If you want to take revenge on me, then just give me a quick death. Long Qianshan was very stubborn. He would rather die than reveal anything about Wang Haoran. Even if you don't tell me, I have my ways to find out. Yi Fan lost his patience. After a cold snort, he used his divine soul to search Long Qinshan's memory. From the memory, Yi Fan obtained some fragments of the conversation between Wang Haoran and Long Qinshan. Go to a bustling place. Yi Fan extracted the key information. After Wang Haoran left, he asked Long Qinshan to look for Fang Xian. He casually said that he was going to a bustling place, but he did not mention the specific location. After Yi Fan obtained this information, he quickly thought of something. The most bustling place in the world was the imperial capital. That person went to the imperial capital. After coming to this conclusion, Yi Fan glanced at the unconscious Long Qinshan. Then, he turned into a ray of light and went straight to the imperial capital, Eastern region. Wang Haoran stayed in the Inuit sect and lived a carefree life for many days. He had truly witnessed the charm of a demoness. During these days, Wang Haoran was so happy that he almost forgot about the world. After spending some time with Hua Feishuan, Wang Haoran gained a better understanding of the sacred region. The deepest place in the sacred region was the central region. The Wang family's strength was nothing compared to the central region. At this point, Wang Haoran also understood that Wang Wanli, that old fellow, had tricked him. Wang Wanli had said that no matter which woman he liked in the sacred region, he would be able to fulfill Wang Haoran's wish. In reality, it was just a bluff. The Wang family's strength in the eastern region was enough to be the overlord. However, in the central region, it was not enough. After hearing some simple information about the central region from Hua Feishuan, Wang Haoran really wanted to go to the central region to take a look. A place like the central region definitely did not lack protagonists and female protagonists. Wang Haoran really wanted to go there and take a look. However, he had left the mortal world for a long time. The female protagonist there must be resentful after not seeing him for so long. It was time for him to go back and take a look. Moreover, Yi Fan's injury should have healed by now. There was a high chance that he had gone somewhere to show off. Wang Haoran wanted to punish this guy. Judging from the current cultivation protagonists who were still alive, Yi Fan, the reincarnation of an immortal lord, was the biggest threat to him. He could not let Yi Fan show off while developing. If Yi Fan's cultivation base surpassed his, he would be in big trouble. Chapter 713. After Wang Haoran made up his mind, he said goodbye to Hua Feishuan and Hua Jiu and left the Inuit sect with Su Qingtong. He sent her back to the Feiyun Pavilion. After meeting Su Qingxian, he went back to the Wang family. After telling Wang Wanli some things, Wang Haoran stepped on the road back to the mortal world. The space storm in the passage connecting the sacred region and the mortal world was quite powerful. Foundation establishment cultivators could barely pass through it, but it would consume a lot of energy. Wang Haoran was already in the Golden Core realm, so it was much easier for him to pass through the passage. After returning to the mortal world, he didn't even need to recover his spirit qi. Wang Haoran didn't stop and flew directly to Qingling from the 100,000 mountains in Nanjiang. Everything was normal in Qingling. No main character appeared and tried to take advantage of the female leads. After Wang Haoran returned to Qingling, he asked someone to find out about Yi Fan. He was busy meeting the female leads in Qingling and cultivating. In short, he couldn't rest at all. It was a starry night. After Yi Fan arrived at the imperial capital, he asked around but didn't get any news about Wang Haoran. In a hurry, he covered half of the imperial capital with his divine soul and started to search for Wang Haoran's aura. He wanted to find Wang Haoran. However, Yi Fan didn't search for long before he found an extremely powerful force somewhere in the imperial capital. However, Yi Fan was sure that this person wasn't Wang Haoran. There were two reasons for this. First, Yi Fan remembered Wang Haoran's aura. This aura was completely different from Wang Haoran's. Second, this person's cultivation was far beyond the peak of qi refinement. It was definitely not Wang Haoran. When Yi Fan sensed this person also sensed Yi Fan. Yi Fan quickly sensed that this person was rushing towards him. Yi Fan stayed where he was and didn't plan to leave. Although this person's cultivation was strong, no one could stop Yi Fan if he wanted to leave. Moreover, he was the profound heaven celestial venerable. Even if he encountered a strong enemy, It was impossible for him to flee in panic. Not long after, Yi Fan saw a stream of light coming from afar. It turned into an old man with an immortal aura. The old man's face was initially filled with hostility and vigilance. However, he heaved a sigh of relief when he saw Yi Fan's appearance. "Who are you? Why are you spying on the imperial capital?" The old man asked politely. "And who are you?" Yi Fan asked in a calm voice. "My name is Wu Xing Tian." The old man introduced himself with a proud smile. "I don't know him." Yi Fan's expression did not change. The old man was stunned for a moment before he asked, "Then have you heard of Yi Wuhan?" "I've heard of that before," Yi Fan said calmly. "I am Yi Wuhan's master, and also the previous leader of the Fire Dragon army that guards the imperial capital," the old man continued. Yi Fan came to a realization after hearing this. He didn't know much about the imperial capital, but he still vaguely knew some things. He had thought it was strange that Yi Wuhan, who guarded the imperial capital, and Long Qinshan's cultivation level were similar. They were both Earth immortals. With this level of cultivation, it would be difficult for them to fight against the real masters of the foreign races. It turned out that other than Yi Wuhan, this old man was also secretly guarding the imperial capital. "I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm just looking for someone." Yi Fan felt that there was no need to get into a conflict with the old man, so he simply explained, "Looking at your appearance, I can tell that you are from the Fire Country and not a foreign race. Of course, I believe that you are not here to cause trouble." Wu Xing Tian expressed his friendliness and then changed the topic. "Since you are from the Fire Country and your cultivation level is so high, are you interested in helping the Fire Country?" "No." Yi Fan's vision was the whole universe, and he did not have a strong sense of belonging to the Fire Country. The old man wanted him to help. There must be some trouble that he needed him to solve. Right now, Yi Fan only wanted to find Wang Haoren. He had no interest in solving these troublesome matters. Wu Xing Tian also did not think that he would be able to get Yi Fan to help him with just one sentence, so he was not surprised when Yi Fan rejected him. "It doesn't matter if you are not willing to help, but this old man sees that we are fated and would like to get to know you. Who are you looking for?" You can tell this old man. Whether this person is in the imperial capital or somewhere else, this old man will be able to find him. Wu Xing Tian's words were very clever. He only mentioned helping Yi Fan to find the person and did not mention anything in return. This made Yi Fan have a good impression of him. However, Yi Fan did not agree to help. "Your cultivation level is so high. If it can make you feel troubled, it must be quite troublesome." Yi Fan said, "There are many of them. If they split up, I won't be able to stop them all." Wu Xing Tian sighed. "Who are they?" Yi Fan asked. "They are from Fusang, M Country, India, and other foreign races. They're all top 10 on the heaven list." Wu Xing Tian said. Yi Fan's interest was aroused. He was now in the first level of the Foundation establishment stage, but his actual combat power was far beyond that. Yi Fan had long wanted to become famous and meet Feng Yurua officially, but unfortunately, his plan had been delayed several times. These foreign masters from the heaven list could be his stepping stones. Yi Fan had also heard about the heaven list. Yi Xuantian's name was at the bottom of the heaven list. Yi Fan was quite dissatisfied with this. If he could get rid of these foreign experts at the top of the heaven leaderboard, his ranking would naturally rise accordingly. Among these foreign masters, who is the highest on the heaven list? Yi Fan asked. The second on the heaven list, Qinhe Zhini from Fusang. Wu Xing Tian said. Only second. Yi Fan was slightly dissatisfied. Who is the first on the heaven list? This old man is ashamed. I am temporarily on the heaven list. Wu Xing Tian said. Hearing this, Yi Fan suddenly had the thought of fighting Wu Xing Tian, but this thought only lasted for a moment before it was dismissed by Yi Fan. Unfortunately, your time is coming, Yi Fan said with some regret. Although he was anxious to make a name for himself, he would not go so far as to challenge an old man who was nearing the end of his life. You have a good eye. Wu Xing Tian sighed. He had been in seclusion, trying to break through to the next level to extend his life. These foreign masters came here to make trouble. They wanted to cause trouble for Wu Xing Tian, so that he would not have the time to go into seclusion to break through. Wu Xingtian alone had once suppressed the experts of the other races to the point where they couldn't even raise their heads. These foreign masters knew that Wu Xingtian was about to die. How could they let go of this good opportunity? Once Wu Xingtian died, the Fire Country would have no top forces. In the future, the Fire Country would be suppressed in all aspects, and these foreign masters could be rampant. I can agree to what you said before, but I have a condition, Yi Fan said. Wu Xingtian was delighted and quickly said, please say, leave that Qianhe Jini from Fusang to me. Yi Fan was not in the mood to fight with Wu Xingtian, who was about to die, so he could only settle for the next best thing, the second on the heaven list. This old man can't ask for more. Wu Xingtian stroked his beard and smiled. He was worried that it would consume too much spirit energy and accelerate his time. Yi Fan picked the most difficult one to deal with. Of course he was happy. But after being happy for a while, Wu Xingtian restrained himself and reminded Yi Fan seriously. This is Qianhe Jini from Fusang. She is a beautiful woman. If you don't have enough willpower, I'm afraid you will fall into her trap. Chapter 714. Hearing Wu Xingtian's words, Yi Fan smiled faintly. He had lived for 1,000 years in his previous life and was still a virgin. What he lacked the most was determination. As a celestial prime, Yi Fan was very popular. There were countless female cultivators who wanted to throw themselves at him, but Yi Fan was unmoved. If Yi Fan would lose his composure because of a woman, then this woman could only be Fang Yura. It could not be anyone else. No matter how beautiful Qianhe Jini from Fusang was, Yi Fan would not be charmed by him. You don't have to worry about that. Yi Fan replied to Wu Xingtian. Since you said so, I will do as you say. Seeing Yi Fan so confident, Wu Xingtian did not continue to persuade him. He made an inviting gesture and said, Sir, please come to my humble abode. Yi Fan nodded and followed Wu Xingtian, turning into a ray of light and heading towards a courtyard somewhere in the imperial city. It was still a starry night. In the pavilion in the courtyard, a woman sat alone with her hand supporting her chin. Her eyes were unfocused, and she was in a daze. Two rays of light flew over and turned into Wu Xingtian and Yi Fan. At this time, the woman had not recovered from her daze. Wuhan, Wu Xingtian called. The woman was Yi Wuhan. She was awakened by the sound and quickly responded, Master. Wu Xingtian frowned slightly when he saw her like this. Yi Wuhan had been in a daze since she came back from Shanghai. It was not the first time Wu Xingtian had seen her like this. After Yi Wuhan responded to Wu Xingtian, she immediately noticed the man beside her and could not help but be surprised. Of course, she knew that this man was Yi Xiantian. Yi Xiantian had fallen into the water after the battle with Long Qianshan. Unexpectedly, Yi Xiantian was unharmed when they met again. Yi Wuhan could even feel a terrifying aura from Yi Xiantian that was close to her masters. This made Yi Wuhan very surprised. Wuhan, let me introduce you. This is... Wu Xingtian wanted to introduce, but he quickly realized that he had forgotten to ask for the name. He could not help but think that he was muddle-headed. Master, the famous Yi Xiantian. How could I not know him? Yi Wuhan said. So, you're Yi Xiantian. Wu Xingtian was surprised at the same time. He had heard about the battle between Long Qianshan and Yi Xiantian from Yi Wuhan. At that time, Yi Xiantian was not as strong as he was now. It was incredible that Yi Xiantian had made such progress in such a short time. How can a loser be brave? I don't dare to claim that I'm famous. Yi Fan's expression was indifferent. Seeing this, Wu Xingtian admired Yi Xiantian even more. The fact that Yi Xiantian was defeated in the battle in Shanghai was known to almost everyone in the reclusive Jianghu. Yi Xiantian was ridiculed behind his back. If it was someone else, they might not be particularly resentful when talking about this matter, but they would definitely not talk about it so casually. Yi Xuantian's temperament could be said to be the most outstanding young man Wu Xingtian had seen in so many years. With your current cultivation level, Long Qianshan is no longer worthy to be your opponent. Wu Xingtian smiled. From the very beginning, I have never placed Long Qianshan in my eyes. The only reason he was able to defeat me was because he borrowed the strength of others, Yi Fan said disdainfully. Oh, this person should be on the heaven leaderboard. Who is he? Wu Xingtian asked in surprise. Yi Wuhan had told Wu Xingtian about the battle in Shanghai. However, because she had a crush on Wang Haoren, she felt guilty and avoided talking about Wang Haoren. Wu Xingtian did not know about Wang Haoren's existence. This person is a man who is not even 20 years old. His appearance is handsome, but his actual age is definitely much higher. I guess he must be an old monster who uses spiritual energy to nourish his body. Yi Fan said, "May I ask if this person is an outsider?" Wu Xingtian asked again. Judging from his appearance, he is not an outsider. Yi Fan said. Wu Xingtian nodded and secretly compared the names on the heaven leaderboard. He could not find anyone who matched his description. The top 10 on the heaven leaderboard, except for Wu Xingtian who was first and Yi Xintian who was last, were all outsiders. Could this person be an outsider in disguise? Wu Xingtian guessed. To me, whether he is an outsider or not is not important. Yi Fan narrowed his eyes. You're looking for this person? Wu Xingtian thought of something. That's right. Yi Fan nodded. I was careless and was injured by this person twice. I will repay the debt of 2 swords. When Yi Wuhan heard this, he looked at Yi Fan with a hostile gaze. Yi Fan's perception was amazing and immediately noticed it. He could not help but look at her. I don't think I have any grudges with you. Yi Fan frowned and asked in confusion. Yi Wuhan was exposed and did not immediately answer. Wu Xingtian felt that he had guessed his disciple's thoughts and smiled. My disciple is very competitive. Seeing that you are so young and your cultivation is so high, it is normal for her to see you as an opponent. She is not worthy. Yi Fan said lightly. You are so rude. Are you looking down on people too much? Yi Wuhan said unhappily. I'm just stating a fact. Yi Fan did not feel that there was anything wrong with his words. Yi Wuhan was speechless. Wu Xingtian saw the two arguing and could not help but smile. He looked at Yi Wuhan and said, Didn't you look down on all the men in the world? Now that you have seen such a powerful young man, do you know that you are short-sighted? Master is also making fun of me. Yi Wuhan said, Of course not. I just want to remind you that you are not young anymore. You should consider finding a partner. If you meet a suitable one, don't miss it. Although Wu Xingtian did not mention a name, he was obviously referring to Yi Xintian. As Yi Wuhan's master, Wu Xingtian understood his disciple very well. It was not that this disciple did not consider finding a partner, but she looked down on those who were weaker than her. How could she give herself to them? And this Yi Xintian was younger than Yi Wuhan. In terms of strength, he suppressed Yi Wuhan. Yi Xintian completely met the requirements, and his temperament was excellent. Wu Xingtian naturally felt that Yi Xintian was a good match for Yi Wuhan. Master, we are facing a great enemy now. Don't make trouble for these things. Yi Wuhan said gloomily. This is also a big matter. I really want to see you find a partner before I enter the Yellow Earth. Wu Xingtian's words were filled with sadness and expectation. He was not married and did not have any children. Therefore, he treated Yi Wuhan as his own child. Hearing his master's words, Yi Wuhan suddenly fell silent. What do you think of my disciple? Wu Xingtian wanted to pull the strings, so he asked Yi Fan. Nothing. Yi Fan's face was cold. Although Yi Wuhan was beautiful, he only had Fang Yiruo in his heart. There was no room for other women. When Wu Xingtian heard this, he immediately became anxious. He wanted to praise his disciple to arouse Yi Fan's interest. But before he could say anything, Yi Wuhan spoke first. Master, your disciple's heart already belongs to someone. In this life, I will only marry him. Don't try to matchmake me. Wu Xingtian was stunned. Yi Fan, on the other hand, frowned. In his previous life, the women he had rejected were all desperate. Even if he didn't want them, these women would still wait for him bitterly. Some even shamelessly stayed by his side just to serve him as a maid. Yi Fan had long been used to this. When Yi Wuhan suddenly said that she would only marry him, Yi Fan instinctively felt a little uncomfortable. Chapter 7:15. When Wu Xingtian heard his disciple's words, he was stunned for a moment. He hurriedly asked, Who is this person? Which genius in the capital is he? Yi Wuhan paused and lied. He's not from the capital, nor is he a genius. He's just an ordinary person. She had just heard that Yi Xiantian wanted to take revenge on Wang Haoren. How could she be so stupid as to reveal Wang Haoren's information? Normal people. Wu Xingtian frowned after hearing this. He treated Yi Wuhan as his daughter, so he naturally hoped that Yi Wuhan could find a good husband. Even if he couldn't protect Yi Wuhan, he would at least have enough power to provide some help to Yi Wuhan. After all, the burden on Yi Wuhan's shoulders wasn't small. Wuhan, didn't you want your other half to be stronger than you in terms of cultivation level? Why did you fall for an ordinary person? Wu Xingtian asked doubtfully. A handsome face appeared in Yi Wuhan's mind. She couldn't help but smile gently and murmured, "Before I met him, I also thought the same. I wanted to set a framework for my future other half. But fate is a wonderful thing. When I really meet this person, all the framework will not be an obstacle. The only thing I want is to be with him. Background and identity are not important. I just like him." When Yi Wuhan first met Wang Haoren, she thought that Wang Haoren was just an ordinary college student. At that time, she had a crush on him. Her words were not fake at all. As an old bachelor, Wu Xingtian didn't understand these things at all, but he could still see that his disciple seemed to be deeply in love. Thinking of this, Wu Xingtian immediately dispelled the idea of matchmaking Yi Wuhan and Yi Fan. But Wu Xingtian still felt very regretful. He was not far from the end of his life. He was afraid that when all the burdens fell on Yi Wuhan, it would be difficult for her to bear them. Wu Xingtian actually hoped that Yi Wuhan could find a partner who would help her and not a guy who lived off a woman. But Wu Xingtian could not say these words under such circumstances. Yi Fan, who was at the side, listened quietly to Yi Wuhan's narration. The discomfort in his heart intensified. If Yi Wuhan liked a heaven list expert, then he would feel much more at ease. However, Yi Wuhan was only interested in an ordinary person. No, to be precise, he was just an ant. He was just an ant. What was there to like? Yi Fan really couldn't understand. However, with his personality, he would not say such things out loud. He only snorted inwardly and suddenly said to Wu Xingtian, "I want a quiet place to cultivate." Wu Xingtian nodded and let the servant lead Yi Fan away. Qingling Wang Haoren sent people to the hidden world to look for traces of Wang Haoren. Long Qianshan knew that Wang Haoren had returned to Qingling and hurried over. Long Qianshan reported to Wang Haoren that Yi Fan had interrogated him. "What did you say to Yi Xiantian at that time?" Wang Haoren asked. "Master, I did not say a word about Master's whereabouts. I did not say anything about Master to Yi Xiantian," Long Qianshan said. "However, after Yi Xiantian failed to interrogate me, he said something like, 'Even if I don't say anything, he will find out.' Then I felt a pain in my head and fainted. When I woke up, Yi Xiantian was already gone." After listening to Long Qianshan's description, Wang Haoren immediately concluded that Yi Fan had searched Long Qianshan's memories. When Wang Haoren left the secular world, the words he told Long Qianshan were very vague. It was just a simple mention of a bustling place. After Yi Fan searched Long Qianshan's memories, he did not bother about Long Qianshan anymore. Perhaps he had gotten the answer he wanted. A bustling place. Did Yi Fan go to the imperial capital to look for me? Wang Haoren thought to himself. After chatting with Long Qianshan for a while, Wang Haoren dismissed him. Wang Haoren had long planned to go to the imperial capital. Now that he knew that Yi Fan was most likely in the imperial capital, he decided to go there as soon as possible. In the imperial capital, there was Yi Wuhan who missed him dearly. Regardless of whether he could meet Yi Fan in the imperial capital, he would definitely gain something. It would not be a wasted trip. After all, Yi Wuhan had said that he would look for her when he went to the imperial capital. After making up his mind, Wang Haoren set off early the next morning. Similarly, Wang Haoren did not intend to go alone on this long journey. Instead, he called Mu Nanji and Bian Suan along. These two female leads had lived in the imperial capital for a long time. They had only stayed in Qingling because of Wang Haoren. Both of them were more familiar with the environment in the imperial capital. Moreover, one of them was a famous geomaster in the imperial capital, while the other was a miracle doctor. They had a lot of connections in the imperial capital. With Mu Nanji and Bian Suan along, it would definitely save them a lot of trouble. After Mu Nanji and Bien Suin received Wang Haoran's invitation, they naturally agreed without hesitation. Wang Haoran booked a commercial plane and embarked on the journey to the imperial capital with the two of them. After a few hours, the plane arrived at the destination. Wang Haoran, Mu Nanji, and Bien Suin got off the plane and landed on the tarmac. The tarmac was built at a high place. Standing there, they could look down at the surroundings. It was bustling as far as their eyes could see. There were tall buildings, luxurious cars on the road, and well-dressed people walking on the side of the road. Qingling's side couldn't compare to all of this. Mu Nanji and Bien Suin had lived in the imperial capital for a long time, so they were not surprised by the scenery. When the three of them arrived at the exit of the airport, they saw some people in military uniforms. There was a flaming dragon symbol on their chest. It was very eye-catching. Moreover, the aura that they exuded inadvertently proved that they were not ordinary people. Why are there so many Flame Dragon Army soldiers patrolling here? Did something happen in the imperial capital? Mu Nanji was surprised. Something must have happened. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many Flame Dragon Army soldiers, Bien Suin added. What does the Flame Dragon Army do? Wang Haoran asked curiously. The Flame Dragon Army is a super force that keeps the hidden Jianghu and the foreign tribes in check. Their leader is the famous General Yi Wuhan, Mu Nanji explained. Wang Haoran nodded in realization. I've never heard of anything big happening in the hidden Jianghu. Could it be the foreign tribes? That's highly possible. It seems like the imperial capital won't be peaceful for a while. Bien Suin sighed. I thought I could bring you around the imperial capital. It seems like my wish is not going to come true. It's okay. We don't have to go out. I'll be happy to chat with you guys in the room. Wang Haoran smiled. Both Mu Nanji and Bien Suin rolled their eyes at him. Chapter 716. After the three of them passed the security check and came out of the airport, Bien Suin asked Mu Nanji, "Do you want to go to your place? Or my place?" The two of them had known each other for a long time and were best friends. When they were in the capital, they often stayed at each other's place. Now that Wang Haoran was here, it was not appropriate for Wang Haoran to go to anyone's place alone. The best choice was to go to a place. My place is close to here. Let's go to my place, Mu Nanji replied. Okay, I'll listen to you. Bien Suin nodded. About half an hour later, Mu Nanji brought Wang Haoran and Bien Suin to a relatively old-fashioned mansion. While Mu Nanji was away, the servants had gone home for the holidays. The mansion was very cold and cheerless. However, there were no scattered leaves in the courtyard of the mansion. Obviously, someone had cleaned the place regularly while Mu Nanji was away. Not long after Mu Nanji returned, a guest came to the mansion. Mu Nanji went to take a look and saw that it was Tian Jizi. Junior sister, you're finally back. I thought you were going to stay at Qingling's place forever, Tian Jizi said with a smile. I'm sorry for offending you earlier. I hope you don't mind, Mu Nanji said apologetically. It doesn't matter. Seeing Junior sister's radiant appearance, this senior brother of mine is also happy. Tian Jizi smiled meaningfully. Mu Nanji was embarrassed for a moment and changed the topic. Thank you for taking care of my house while I was away. It's nothing. Tian Jizi waved his hand and said, Junior sister, aren't you going to invite me in? Mu Nanji hesitated for a moment, but she still said, Senior brother, please. Tian Jizi saw that Mu Nanji's expression was a little strange, so he walked into the mansion with Mu Nanji with some doubts. On the way, Bien Suin suddenly appeared. So the little fairy doctor is here too. But, Junior sister, you don't have to hide this from me, right? Tian Jizi joked. Mu Nanji smiled awkwardly, not knowing how to answer. Tian Jizi had already vaguely guessed something and asked tentatively, Junior sister, are there other guests here? You're thinking too much, senior brother. It's just a casual question, Mu Nanji denied. If it was just a matter between her and Wang Haoran, it wouldn't be a big deal even if it was announced. However, the problem now was that Bien Su was also involved. The two of them had countless suitors in the imperial capital. If news of the two of them giving themselves to the same person were spread, Wang Haoran would definitely be in trouble. Mu Nanji knew that those people could not hurt Wang Haoran, but she did not want them to bother Wang Haoran. Junior sister, you're treating me as an outsider. Speaking of which, I'm your matchmaker. Could it be that you still want to hide this from me? Tianji was full of curiosity. He wanted to see what kind of person Mu Nanji's other half was. Mu Nanji hesitated for a moment before giving Bien Suin a questioning look. Bien Suin mouthed a few words at her, telling her to make the decision herself. Mu Nanji thought for a while and said, "Come with me, senior brother." Tianji nodded with a smile and followed Mu Nanji and Bien Suin to the courtyard. There was a handsome figure sitting by the stone table in the courtyard. Tianji was stunned just by looking at the person's back. However, when the person turned around, he saw a familiar face. Tianji was suddenly startled. It's you," Tianji said in a trembling voice. At that time, he accepted the invitation of the god of war Su Lang and went to Qingling to meet Wang Haoren. He knew that if he continued to stay by Su Lang's side, he would die in Wang Haoren's hands. Therefore, he left Su Lang and returned to the imperial capital. At that time, he even swore that he would never go to Qingling. Even when he found out that his master was in Qingling, Tianji did not rush over. This was because Tianji knew that if he went, he would definitely die. Therefore, Tianji had a deep fear of Wang Haoren. Wang Haoren was not surprised when he saw Tianji. After he became friends with Mu Nanji told Wang Haoren about some things around her, including Tianji's existence. "You know each other?" Mu Nanji asked in surprise. "No, he must have mistaken me for someone else." Wang Haoren smiled. Hearing this, Tianji came to his senses. This was not Qingling, but the imperial capital. He did not break his promise. Moreover, he was Mu Nanji's lover. Even if it was for Mu Nanji's sake, he would not kill him, right? Thinking of this, Tianji's heart calmed down a little. "I was blind and misjudged you." Tianji did not expose anything. Instead, he pretended not to know him like Wang Haoren. Mu Nanji and Bien Suin only felt that Tianji's expression was strange, but they did not ask much. Then, Mu Nanji briefly introduced Wang Haoren to Tianji. However, she only said that Wang Haoren was from a rich family and did not say anything else. Tianji knew that Wang Haoren was not simple, but he did not point it out. He only used a lot of flattering words to congratulate Mu Nanji and Little Fairy Doctor for finding a partner. "Senior brother, please don't tell anyone about this," Mu Nanji said. "Don't worry, junior sister. I will keep my mouth shut." Tianji did not have the guts to go out and talk nonsense. After responding, he only felt a little restrained staying here. Suddenly, he remembered something and was about to leave, so he said, "By the way, a junior brother is coming to the imperial capital. He should be arriving soon. I'm going to send someone to pick him up." "Oh, which junior brother?" Mu Nanji asked curiously. "His name is Jing Lu. He learned chess from Master. When he was in Qingling, he defeated the top chess player of Pickle Country, Jiang Yun. Junior sister was in Qingling at that time, so you must have heard of this, right?" Tianji said. "Of course I know." Mu Nanji nodded. "Is this junior brother here to play or what?" "There's going to be an international chess competition in the imperial capital soon. Many top chess players will be there. As the #1 chess player of Fire Country, how can junior brother be absent?" Tianji said. Wang Haoren heard this, and suddenly his heart skipped a beat. Jiang Yun was the #1 chess player of Pickle Country. She would definitely not be absent from such competition. Now that there were foreigners spying on the imperial capital, something big should be happening soon. It was probably a stage created for Yi Fan to show off. But Yi Fan was the female lead, and the only person who would have a plot with Yi Fan would be the supporting female lead. And Jiang Yun was the female lead. Logically speaking, the two of them should not be related. Jiang Yun coming to the imperial capital was not likely to be attracted by Yi Fan's plot. She might be attracted by the plot of other protagonists. So, there were other protagonists in the imperial capital? This storm of foreigners spying on the imperial capital might not be just a stage for Yi Fan to show off. Did the pretentious plots of the two protagonists collide with each other? Wang Haoren secretly guessed. Of course, what needed to be confirmed now was whether Jiang Yun really came to the imperial capital. If she didn't come, then all these speculations were nonsense. After Tian Jizi left, Wang Haoren left the courtyard and contacted Jiang Yun privately. Chapter 717. When they were in Qingling, Wang Haoren and Jiang Yun had established a relationship. After that, Jiang Yun went back to Guo because of some matters. During this period, the two of them kept in touch for a long time. But after Wang Haoren went to the Holy Region, that place was isolated from the modern world, and those modern communication devices could not be used at all. After returning to Qingling, he was busy dealing with the female lead of Qingling and temporarily neglected Jiang Yun. Counting the time when they last contacted, it had been more than half a month since he last contacted Jiang Yun. After Wang Haoren dialed the number, Jiang Yun quickly picked it up. "I thought you didn't want me anymore." After the call was connected, Jiang Yun's voice immediately came from the other side. "How is that possible? I just went to a remote place not long ago. There is no signal in that place, so I can't contact you. But I miss you every day." Wang Haoren coaxed. "I miss you every day too. I miss you in the morning, at noon, at night. I even dream of you." Jiang Yun's voice was no longer bitter, and there was a sweet feeling in her voice. "By the way, where are you now?" Wang Haoren saw that Jiang Yun was coaxed so quickly and immediately talked about business. "I just got off the plane and arrived in the imperial capital of Yin country. I came here to participate in an international chess exchange. When I'm done, I'll fly to Qingling to look for you," Jiang Yun said. After getting the answer, Wang Haoren understood that his speculation was likely to be true. The two protagonists' plots of showing off were very likely to clash. "I miss you so much. Why don't I come to the imperial capital directly to look for you?" Wang Haoren did not say that he was in the imperial capital at the moment, but casually coaxed Jiang Yun again. Jiang Yun was overjoyed after hearing that. Okay. If you don't find it troublesome, then come. The chess exchange will be held in 2 days. After the set of procedures, if I want to go to Qingling, it can only be in 7 days. If you're willing to come here, that would be great." Jiang Yun hadn't seen Wang Haoren for a long time and couldn't wait to see him. After Wang Haoren ended the call with Jiang Yun, he began to think about how to destroy the main character stage. As for the method, Wang Haoren had two in mind. The first was to sneak into the foreign race and pretend to be a foreign powerhouse to slap Yi Fan and the other main character's face. The second was to use his identity as a powerful pugilist from the Fire Country to crush all the powerful pugilists from the other races to prevent Yi Fan and the other main character from being able to do anything. Comparing the two methods, Wang Haoren was more inclined to the second method. Although he was a villain, he still had some principles. Although he was dealing with the main character, helping an outsider was really immoral. As for the second method, not only could he stop the main character from showing off, but he could also show off. Why not? However, the flaw of the second method was that it would only cut off the main character's plot. It would only act like the main character was supposed to. It would not cause any substantial harm to the main character. After Wang Haoren thought about it, he decided to combine the two methods. First, he would sneak into the foreign powerhouses and slap the main character's face, and then he would crush the powerful pugilists from the other races. After making up his mind, Wang Haoren began the first step of his plan. The first step would naturally be to find the foreign races. Wang Haoren had no news at all. His first thought was to use Mu Nanji and Bian Suan's connections to find out the whereabouts of the foreign races. But just as that thought popped up his mind, Wang Haoren suddenly thought of someone. With her position in the imperial capital, if there was any news of the foreign race's whereabouts, she would definitely be one of the first few to know about it. With that thought in mind, Wang Haoren decided to leave the house and go out to look for someone. But he had just taken a few steps when he suddenly sensed a familiar aura nearby. Wang Haoren activated his X-ray vision and saw a group of people. With a glance, he saw that most of the people in the group were iron-blooded men with resolute faces. However, the leader of the group was a valiant and beautiful woman dressed in military attire. Wang Haoren was stunned for a moment, but a smile soon appeared at the corner of his mouth. Just as he thought of her, she actually appeared. Mu Nanji's residence was surrounded by influential people. If the foreign races wanted to cause trouble, this place would very likely be the target location. Otherwise, with Yi Wuhan's status, he wouldn't bring people here to patrol. Yi Wuhan led his people and passed by Mu Nanji's house. When he saw that the door of the house was half open, Yi Wuhan suddenly stopped and asked the others to continue patrolling. He walked toward the door of the house. He gently pushed the door open and walked in. Then, he came to the courtyard of the house. Mu Nanji and Biansuan were chatting and laughing. When they saw Yi Wuhan's figure, the two of them were stunned. "So it's General Yi. I'm sorry for not coming out to welcome you," Mu Nanji suddenly said in a serious tone after she came back to her senses. "Greetings, General Yi," Biansuan also said in a serious tone. "There are no outsiders here." Yi Wuhan rolled his eyes at the two of them and said in a reproachful tone. The seriousness on Mu Nanji's pretty face disappeared. She smiled sweetly and said, "Sister Yi, why are you here? I was patrolling here and saw that the door of your house was half open, so I came in to take a look." Yi Wuhan didn't stand on ceremony and sat down on a stool in the courtyard, as if it was his own house. "Sister Yi, is something big going to happen in the capital?" Biansuan asked with a serious expression. "In short, there will be many things happening in the near future. Try not to go out and don't open the door casually," Yi Wuhan reminded them. Mu Nanji and Biansuan looked at each other and frowned. In fact, they had already guessed it. After hearing Yi Wuhan's words, they were completely certain. They had lived in the capital for a long time and almost treated it as their home. Now that something like this had happened, they couldn't help but be worried. Yi Wuhan didn't want to add to their worries. After seeing their expressions, he immediately changed the topic. "By the way, I heard that you guys went to Qingling one after another. What attracted you guys to Qingling? Why did you guys stay there for so long?" Mu Nanji and Biansuan looked at each other and exchanged glances. "My family is there, so I stayed there for a long time. My master was in Qingling before, so I went there to visit him." Biansuan and Mu Nanji replied one after another. "I see." Yi Wuhan nodded. Then, he remembered that he had something important to do, so he didn't plan to stay for long. He got up and said, "I still have something to do, so I'll take my leave first. After the storm dies down, let's go and have a big meal together." "Sister Yi, we won't stay in the capital for long. I think we'll go back to Qingling soon," Mu Nanji said. "We'll also stay in Qingling in the future," Biansuan added. "Why do we have to stay in Qingling? Can you guys bear to part with me?" Yi Wuhan complained. Mu Nanji and Biansuan were his best friends. When they heard that his two best friends were leaving, they couldn't help but feel sad. "Sister Yi, all good things must come to an end. We don't want to, but..." Biansuan wanted to say something, but stopped. "When we're free in the future, we'll definitely come here to visit you, Sister Yi," Mu Nanji said. "You guys, something's wrong." Yi Wuhan suddenly saw something wrong. He looked at them with a scrutinizing gaze. "Did the two of you find a man in Qingling?" Mu Nanji and Biansuan hesitated for a while, then nodded at Yi Wuhan. "Who are the two reckless idiots? How dare they steal my woman?" Yi Wuhan couldn't help but slap the table. He said with 30% joking and 70% resentment. Chapter 718. Mu Nanji and Biansuan were shocked when they saw Yi Wuhan's reaction. "Tell me who it is," Yi Wuhan asked the two of them curiously. However, neither of them spoke first. Thus, she directly called out their names. "Nanji, I've helped you get rid of the flies that annoyed you in the past. You can't hide this from me, right? Tell me, who's the one who kidnapped you? What's his name? What does he look like?" "Sister Yi, how can I tell you when you're so fierce?" Mu Nanji did not know whether to laugh or cry. "Don't worry. How can I hurt the person you love? Just tell me." Although Yi Wuhan's words were comforting, Mu Nanji could see the hostility in her eyes. However, Mu Nanji was not worried about Wang Howard at all, so she said straightforwardly, "He came with us. He's staying here. I think you want to make a call just now. You'll see him when he comes over." Yi Wuhan gritted her teeth when she heard that. Mu Nanji had brought someone over. It was obvious that her relationship with him had developed to a very deep level. Yi Wuhan was very angry. She turned to look at Biansuan. Before Yi Wuhan could ask, Biansuan said, Nanji has already told me what I wanted to say. Yi Woohin was dumbfounded for a moment. He didn't immediately understand what he meant. It was only after a long while that he said in a surprised voice. After a while, she said in shock, "You two have the same man?" "Yes." Mu Nanji and Bien Suen nodded at the same time. Although good friends can share things, they can't share everything. "Are you crazy?" Yi Woohin said in shock. "It's very complicated. Because of some reasons, I can't tell you too much. In short, we're willing to be with him, and we're very happy with him," Bien Suen said. "Sister Yi, we're very happy. Don't worry. If you really want our best, just give us your blessings," Mu Nanji added. Yi Woohin could see that the two of them were sincere. She was happy for them, but more than that, she was angry. If Mu Nanji and Bien Suen were still staying in the Imperial Palace, Yi Woohin would not have such a big reaction. However, Bien Suen had made it clear that she would be staying in Qingling. Qingling was quite far from the imperial capital. In other words, it would be difficult for her to see her two best friends in the future. That person had snatched Mu Nanji and Bien Suen away from her. Yi Woohin couldn't take this lying down. He stood up abruptly and shouted loudly, "You, hurry up and come out to see me." His voice spread out, causing the house to tremble a few times. "Sister Yi, calm down. Don't be impulsive," Bien Suen quickly advised. "The hatred of stealing my wife is absolutely irreconcilable. Moreover, there are two of them. How can I remain calm?" Yi Woohin went crazy for a while, but he was still rational. "Suen, Nanji, I know what I'm doing. I won't hit his face. Don't worry." Upon hearing this, Mu Nanji and Bien Suen looked at each other with strange expressions on their faces. They weren't worried about Wang Haoran, but Yi Woohin. The two of them wanted to say something to dissuade Yi Woohin, but at this time, a handsome figure slowly walked over to the courtyard. Although Yi Woohin's back was facing him, with her perception, she could naturally hear the footsteps. Her beautiful eyes flashed with hostility. She clenched her fists and slowly turned around to look at the person behind her. However, the hostility on her face instantly froze, as if she had been petrified. Wang Haoran walked over slowly and stopped in front of Mu Nanji and the others. Bien Suen and Mu Nanji looked at Yi Woohin, afraid that she would suddenly attack. However, unexpectedly, Yi Woohin didn't do anything. The expression on her face was also very strange, as if she was dumbfounded. Mu Nanji and Bien Suen didn't understand what was going on. "I didn't expect that we would meet again so soon after we parted in Shanghai." Wang Haoran looked at the dumbfounded Yi Woohin and said with a smile. Only then did Yi Woohin come back to her senses. Suddenly, she was at a loss. She didn't look as fierce as before. "You know each other?" Mu Nanji and Bien Suen were surprised. "Although we've only met once, we're considered friends. Missy also said that I must look for her when I come to the capital," Wang Haoran said. Yi Woohin became even more nervous when she heard this. Originally, she was very calm about inviting Wang Haoran. However, when she mentioned it in front of Bien Suen and Mu Nanji, she couldn't help but feel a little guilty. This was because it made her feel as if she had snatched something from her best friend. "Nanji, Suen, don't think too much. We're just friends. It's not what you think," Yi Woohin explained. Mu Nanji and Bien Suen didn't think much of it at first. However, when they heard Yi Woohin's words, they couldn't help but feel suspicious. This was because Yi Woohin's words really made them feel like they were trying to hide something. Moreover, Mu Nanji and Bien Suen had a better understanding of Wang Haoran now. No matter which beautiful woman around them was related to Wang Haoran, they wouldn't find it strange. This was because their man's charm was too strong. Moreover, he was the reincarnation of an immortal emperor and was very powerful. It was hard for women not to be moved when they saw him. Bien Suen and Mu Nanji also knew about Yi Woohin's situation. The men in the capital couldn't enter Yi Woohin's eyes at all. The two of them were worried that Yi Woohin would be alone for the rest of her life. If Yi Woohin was really interested in Wang Haoran, they wouldn't object. However, Yi Woohin was flustered at this moment. She couldn't understand Mu Nanji and Bien Suen's thoughts at all. After she explained, she felt that she couldn't continue to stay here. Therefore, she said that she had something urgent to deal with and bade farewell to her two best friends. "General Yi, I'll send you off," Wang Haoran said since he had something to ask her. Yi Wuhin didn't object when she heard this. The two of them walked out of the courtyard side by side. Yi Wuhin deliberately slowed down her footsteps. She wanted to spend more time with Wang Haoran. "General Yi, it doesn't seem to be peaceful here recently, right?" Wang Haoran broke the silence and asked. When he mentioned this, the nervousness and shyness in Yi Wuhin's heart lessened. Her expression became more serious as she explained, "My master's time is not far away. He was in seclusion to break through to the next realm to prolong his life. Those foreign races who intend to invade the Fire Country are afraid that my master will succeed in his breakthrough. So they want to create trouble and trouble my master, not allowing him to break through in peace." At this point, Yi Wuhin clenched her fists tightly, and a look of shame appeared on her beautiful face. "I only hate that my cultivation is too low. If I could fend off these outsiders, then my master wouldn't have to worry about me. My master's time is almost up. If these foreign races can delay my master, once my master's time is up, the Fire Country's top powerhouses will not be able to fight against the foreign races. When a powerhouse reaches a certain level of cultivation, there are too many things they can do. At that time, I'm afraid." Yi Wuhin was so worried that she couldn't continue. "I'm afraid the Fire Country is in danger?" Wang Haoran asked tentatively. Chapter 719. After hearing Wang Haoran's words, Yi Wuhin's face turned pale. Obviously, she agreed with what Wang Haoran said. Wang Haoran was slightly stunned when he saw Yi Wuhin's reaction. The seriousness of the matter had actually risen to such an extent. In other words, the stage for showing off was really big. If anyone could defeat these foreigners, it would be hard for them not to become famous. To put it bluntly, this was all a trick. In fact, Yi Wuhin's worries were completely unnecessary. Those foreign experts that seemed difficult to deal with were actually sent to the protagonist to slap his face. Yi Wuhin was worried for a while, but she soon became spirited again. She looked at Wang Haoran expectantly and asked, "Your cultivation is so high. Since your cultivation is so high, I wonder if you can contribute to this? Everyone is responsible for the rise and fall of the Guo family. How can I shirk my responsibility? I am duty-bound to do this." Wang Haoran said righteously. Yi Wuhin was overjoyed when she heard this. She admired Wang Haoran even more and said, "If you are willing to help, that would be great." Her joy didn't last for long before it was gradually suppressed by worry. Yi Wuhin solemnly reminded him, "Those foreign experts who are spying on the imperial capital are almost all big shots on the heaven list. Each one is harder to deal with than the other. If you encounter them, you must be careful. To be able to help in such a big matter, even if I die, I will die without any regrets." Wang Haoran wanted to continue showing his passion. "Aya, how can you say such an auspicious words?" Yi Wuhin became anxious and hurriedly covered his mouth to stop him from continuing to speak. After doing this, Yi Wuhin immediately realized that she had lost her composure. She felt that her hand was hot and retracted it. "Miss Yi seems to be very concerned about me." Wang Haoran smiled meaningfully. Yi Wuhin met Wang Haoran's gaze and quickly looked away as if she had a guilty conscience. She pretended to be calm and said, "Nanji and Suan are my best friends, and you are their partner. I should be concerned about you. Don't think too much." "I didn't think too much about it. Nanji and Suan have mentioned you to me before. They treat you as their elder sister. Of course, I respect you very much. How could I have such thoughts?" Wang Haoran said seriously. Hearing this, Yi Wuhin's face turned pale, and a sense of loss rose in his heart. However, she was never a sentimental woman. She quickly dispelled these negative emotions. Moreover, with Yi Wuhin's character, he would never shrink back when encountering difficulties or setbacks. Instead, he would strive for it with all his might. After thinking for a while, Yi Wuhin suddenly said, "I saw her when I was in Shanghai. There was another woman beside you. Do Suan and Nanji know about this?" "Of course." Wang Haoran nodded. Hearing this, Yi Wuhin was overjoyed. Her two best friends could even accept other women, so there was no reason why they couldn't accept her. A good sister, right? Of course, The premise was that they had to deal with Wang Haoren first. Actually, I'm not much older than you. I'm the same age as you. Don't feel that there's any estrangement between us, Yi Wuhan said. Not much older? How much older are you? Wang Haoren asked subconsciously. Yi Wuhan was stunned. If it was someone else who asked this question, she would definitely fly into a rage. Don't you know that it's very impolite to ask a woman's age? Yi Wuhan smiled and then said calmly, but there's no harm in telling you. I'm 25. Oh, Wang Haoren replied to Yi Wuhan. He didn't question him verbally, but in his heart, he didn't believe a single word of Yi Wuhan's self-disclosure of his age. However, in fact, Wang Haoren didn't care about her age at all. Since she was so beautiful, what did it matter if she was a little older? As long as she was beautiful enough, age was just a number. Moreover, no matter how old she was, could she be older than Gu Hongyi? Wang Haoren could even accept Gu Hongyi. Of course, he could accept Yi Wuhan even more. By the way, who else do we have on our side? Unknowingly, they had already arrived at the gate. Wang Haoren didn't have the mood to tease Yi Wuhan for the time being and asked about serious matters. Yi Wuhan paused and said slowly, Yi Xiantian. He really came. Wang Haoren smiled faintly. I didn't ask Yi Xiantian to come here. It was my master who asked him to come here, Yi Wuhan said. Yi Wuhan then said, also, Yi Xiantian is looking for you. He said that he wants to take revenge for the 2 sword attacks. It seems that his cultivation has improved. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so confident, Wang Haoren said. Although I can't see through his specific cultivation, compared to when he was in Shanghai, he's definitely much stronger. I even feel that his cultivation is close to my master's. I really don't know how he cultivates. Yi Wuhan couldn't help but worry about Wang Haoren. Her expression was somewhat solemn. What's your master's rank on the heaven list? What's his cultivation level? Wang Haoren asked. My master's name is Wu Xingtian. He's ranked 1st on the heaven list. His cultivation level is at the 25th level of the Sage Realm, Yi Wuhan replied. 5th level of the Foundation Establishment stage. Wang Haoren muttered in his heart. He had a rough estimate of Yi Fan's cultivation level. Wu Xingtian, who was ranked 1st on the heaven list, was probably the current ceiling of the secular world's martial strength. Now that Yi Fan came to the imperial capital to show off, his true combat strength was definitely higher than the 5th level of the Foundation Establishment stage. Taking into account the setting that allowed him to fight above his cultivation level, Yi Fan's true cultivation level should be at the 1st level of the Foundation Establishment stage. When he was in Shanghai, Yi Fan was only at the 7th level of the Qi refining stage. He had suddenly jumped to the 1st level of the Foundation Establishment stage. This speed was considered very fast. However, Wang Haoren was even faster. He was already at the 1st level of the Golden Core stage. Not to mention that Wang Haoren could also fight above his cultivation level. Even if it was an ordinary 1st level of the Golden Core stage, Yi Fan, who was at the 1st level of the Foundation Establishment stage, definitely wouldn't be able to deal with him. This was because the difference of a large cultivation level was simply too big. After entering the Foundation Establishment stage, one could use the power of heaven and earth to break free from the shackles of the earth and fly in the sky, becoming a true immortal cultivator. However, a Golden Core stage expert had already cultivated a Golden Core in his Dantian. After entering the Golden Core stage, one could develop a divine power. Wang Haoren's current Golden Core divine power was the power of fire. If he released his Golden Core, it was enough to turn a city into a flaming purgatory and burn everything in it into nothingness. No matter how strong a Foundation Establishment stage expert was, he wouldn't be able to fight against it. This was because this was considered a dimensional attack. Seeing that Wang Haoren didn't speak for a long time, Yi Wuhan thought that he was worried and said, Don't worry. Now that there is pressure from the outside race, even if Yi Xiantian wants to mess around, my master will stop him. When a matter with the outside race is over, I will let my master mediate. You don't have to worry. Wang Haoren didn't explain further. He only turned to Yi Wuhan and asked, Tell me about the outside race. Tell me about those peak-level experts from the other races. Have they already infiltrated the imperial capital? Recently, the entire Yin Dragon army has been mobilized to investigate all kinds of suspicious people. With the help of modern technology, it won't be so easy for the outside race to sneak in, but there are two people that we can't stop, Yi Wuhan said. Which two people? Wang Haoran asked. These two people are from Fusang. One of them is Qina Zhini, ranked second on the heaven roll, and the other is Yagyu Ichiro, ranked 8th on the heaven roll. These two people know a kind of secret art from Fusang that can change their appearance and aura, making it impossible to guard against, Yi Wuhan said worriedly. Chapter 720. After hearing this, Wang Haoran immediately realized that Qin Hezhini and Yagyu Ichiro would be involved in a lot of scenes. As for the reason, it was very simple. Looking at the plots that involve foreigners, the villains from Japan were the most hated. As for the reason, everyone knew. Qin Hezhini and Yagyu Ichiro would definitely have a big conflict with the protagonists. Wang Haoran directly turned these two guys from Japan into the focus of his attention. So he said to Yi Wuhan, "Tell me everything you know about Qin Hezhini and Yagyu Ichiro." This Qin Hezhini is a demonic woman. She's very promiscuous. It's said that she's good at seducing men. If you meet her, you must be careful, Yi Wuhan said. Yagyu Ichiro is a man. He's extremely lecherous and likes to torture women. I don't know how many women have been harmed by him. He's a guy full of evil. After hearing this, Wang Haoran suddenly became thoughtful. He had already judged that there were two protagonists in the capital. In addition to Yi Fan, there was another one. This Qin Hezhini was undoubtedly prepared for Yi Fan. He didn't think that Yi Wuhan's description of Qin Hezhini was necessarily accurate. Although Yi Fan only had one heroine in the plot, there would be many supporting actresses as his maids. This Qin Hezhini might be one of them. Yi Fan was very obsessed with cleanliness. If Qin Hezhini was a loose woman, she wouldn't be qualified to be Yi Fan's maid. Qin Hezhini might have a bad reputation, but he was still innocent. As for Yagyu Ichiro's evil character, he probably lived up to his name. This kind of lecherous man would most likely extend his evil claws to the heroine, and then the heroine would come out and slap him in the face. In other words, this Qin Hezhini should be prepared for the other protagonist. At present, in the capital, Wang Haoran already knew that there were three heroines, namely Mu Nanji, Bian Suan, and Jiang Yin'er. In contrast, Wang Haoran felt that Jiang Yin'er, who came from afar, was most likely to be chosen as the target. In other words, as long as he kept an eye on Jiang Yin'er, he would be able to see Yagyu Ichiro. Wang Haoran had originally planned to blend in with the foreign experts. Both Qin Hezhini and Yagyu Ichiro were fine. The only problem was which one to choose. Yi Fan was an old virgin and was only interested in Fang Yoroa. Even if Qin Hezhini fell into his hands, he would not do anything to him. Wang Haoran, on the other hand, had the advanced charm aura, which made it easy for him to deal with a female supporting character like Qin Hezhini. There was no need to worry about Qin Hezhini. But Yagyu Ichiro was different. If he didn't stop her, the protagonist would definitely appear to save the damsel in distress. After some comparison, Wang Haoran directly selected Yagyu Ichiro as his target. The best way to infiltrate a foreign race was to become one of the foreign race's experts. Yagyu Ichiro was a man, and Qin Hezhini was a woman. It would be more natural for a man to pretend to be a man. Apart from that, Yagyu Ichiro could draw out another protagonist. Wang Haoran really wanted to know who the other main character was. After that, Yi Wuhan also said goodbye and left. Wang Haoran watched her leave. Then, he set up a defensive barrier outside Mu Nanji's house to prevent outsiders from entering. Once someone tried to attack the barrier, Wang Haoran would immediately sense it. Wang Haoran told Bian Suan and Mu Nanji not to go out. In this way, nothing would happen to Bian Suan and Mu Nanji. Then, Wang Haoran left Mu Nanji's house and went to find out where Jiang Yin'er was staying. The reason why he didn't directly ask where Jiang Yin'er was staying was that he was afraid that it would affect the plot and ruin the plot of the hero saving the damsel in distress. Because once Wang Haoran asked, Jiang Yin'er's actions would definitely change. For example, she couldn't wait to see Wang Haoran. If the plot changed, Yagyu Ichiro, who was supposed to appear, might not appear so soon. Therefore, Wang Haoren decided to hide it from Jiang Yin for the time being and secretly look for her. As the top chess player in Kimchi country, Jiang Yin naturally attracted a lot of attention. It was too easy to find out where Jiang Yin was staying. Wang Haoren checked the news and learned that Jiang Yin was staying in a 5-star hotel. After confirming Jiang Yin's residence, Wang Haoren sneaked into the hotel and used his X-ray vision to find the hotel room where Jiang Yin was staying. Then, Wang Haoren found an opportunity to knock out Jiang Yin's agent aunt and read her memory. In order to prevent her from saying the wrong thing in front of others, he hid her and changed into her aunt's appearance. After entering the Golden Core stage, Wang Haoren could change his appearance and body shape. On the surface, he was no different from hominoid. Only immortal cultivators whose cultivation was much higher than his could tell. This was much better than the secret skill of China Zhuni and Yaguichiro. After Jiang Yin settled down in the hotel, she rested for a while. It was almost time for dinner, so she went to have dinner with her aunt. Wang Haoren was really not used to dressing up as a woman. Fortunately, Jiang Yin's aunt was an ordinary woman. There was nothing special about her behavior, and walking posture, so it was not difficult to dress up as her. Jiang Yin and Wang Haoren walked side by side, followed by some bodyguards. They went to the hotel restaurant. On the way, Wang Haoren kept looking at Jiang Yin. After not seeing her for a long time, Jiang Yin's curves were better than when she was in Qingling. There was no extra fat. Wang Haoren learned from Jiang Yin's aunt's memory that Jiang Yin often worked out after returning from Qingling. These better curves were naturally because of the fitness. Moreover, Jiang Yin's flexibility was much stronger. Because from Jiang Yin's aunt's memory, Jiang Yin often kept a split when she was practicing chess with the AI. In addition, Jiang Yin paid more attention to her appearance. Her makeup and clothes were very careful, not as casual as before. Compared to when she was in Qingling, she looked more attractive as a whole. Noticing the strange gaze of her aunt, Jiang Yin said something in her mother tongue. Wang Haoren read Jiang Yin's aunt's memory and could understand, but he was not used to it. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. Since you're in the fire country, you can speak the local language. Aunt, why are you staring at me? Jiang Yin repeated her words in the Yin language. I find that Yin is getting more and more beautiful. Wang Haoren praised. Aunt, don't make fun of me. Jiang Yin was shy and a little embarrassed. You have a boyfriend. You are really different. Wang Haoren continued to tease. Jiang Yin's change was noticed by her aunt, and she had asked her about it. Jiang Yin told her that she had a boyfriend, but did not say who it was. Her aunt was more open-minded, or it could be said that the atmosphere in their world was more open-minded about such things and did not object to it. Because for someone like Jiang Yin, who only started dating at 18, it was considered very late. Hearing her aunt's words, Jiang Yin blushed. She had a few good female friends around her, and they were all experienced in love. After Jiang Yin went back, she asked them for guidance on how to make her boyfriend like her more. Her friends told her things that only mature people would understand. At first, Jiang Yin was not happy about it, but she cared too much about a certain someone, and she tried to improve herself. But those things, Jiang Yin was too ashamed to say them out loud. Wang Haoren saw Jiang Yin's bashful look and found it amusing, and he wanted to continue teasing her. But at that moment, he suddenly sensed a rather strong, faint fluctuation of spirit energy around them. His gaze moved away from Jiang Yin's side and scanned the surroundings, quickly finding the source. It's actually that boy who delivers treasures. Wang Haoren saw a handsome and familiar face and was slightly startled. Chapter 721. This person with a strong spiritual energy cultivation base was none other than Chu Tian, the young master of the Seven Stars sect, the one whose engagement with Yun Churen was broken off. Wang Haoren's heaven-defying cheating tool, the heaven-splitting pagoda, was snatched from Chu Tian. Back then, Chu Tian's meridians were damaged, and he could not cultivate. After that, the heaven-splitting pagoda was snatched away. However, Chu Tian's protagonist aura was still there. He did not lose his identity as the protagonist just because he lost the heaven-splitting pagoda. When Wang Haoren left the Seven Stars sect, he communicated with the Seven Star sect's first elder and asked him to keep an eye on Chu Tian's movements and report to him if there were any special situations. However, there was not even the slightest bit of news from that first elder. Chu Tian now had a strong spiritual energy cultivation base, and he even appeared in the imperial capital. Needless to say, the first elder was definitely done for. To be more precise, the few forces in the ancient city where the Seven Stars sect was located were now following the Seven Stars sect's lead. Otherwise, Chu Tian would not have changed the map and come here. Chu Tian's sudden rise must have been due to other great opportunities. Wang Haoren was filled with anticipation as he communicated with the system to check on Chu Tian. Protagonist, Chu Tian, combat strength, 36,290, 9th level of Chi refinement. Charisma, 197, protagonist aura, 33267. Skill, Golden Finger Primordial Sword. When heaven and earth were first created, it was forged from chaotic chi. It is the highest level Khanate cardinal treasure. After completely integrating with the primordial sword, one can comprehend the laws of Tao integration. Note, the current integration of the primordial sword is 9%. When the integration reaches 10% or above, it will become unable to be plundered. Chu Tian's latest information quickly appeared in Wang Haoren's mind. Wang Haoren could not help but gasp. Chu Tian was indeed the son of destiny. After the heaven-splitting pagoda was snatched away, the protagonist aura activated, and he actually obtained another highest-level Khanate cardinal treasure. The primordial sword's level was not inferior to the heaven-splitting pagoda. It could also help the host reach Tao integration. Based on the protagonist aura alone, Chu Tian's current aura points were much higher than Yifan's. Wang Haoren still vaguely remembered that when he first met Yifan's main character aura was 29,000. Chu Tian's main character aura was only a little over 20,000, and it was still increasing. Now that the increase had ended, it had reached 33,000. Of all the main characters Wang Haoren had met so far, this was the main character with the highest protagonist aura, and also the main character with the highest destiny. One Khanate cardinal treasure had been snatched away, and yet another one had appeared. However, Wang Haoren was still quite excited about this. Last time, Chu Tian gifted him the heaven-splitting pagoda. Now he gifted him the primordial sword. How could he not be happy? The fusion speed of the Hongmeng sword was undoubtedly directly related to one's cultivation. Chu Tian's current fusion progress was 9%. Which corresponded to the 9th level of the Qi refining stage. Once the fusion progress reached 100%, he could attempt Tao integration. However, Chu Tian was still far from reaching this stage. He had only integrated for a short while, and his progress was only at 9%. The primordial chaos sword wasn't the kind of treasure that would recognize its master by dripping blood on it. It had to be fused with it slowly. In other words, Wang Haoren could snatch the primordial chaos sword and claim it as his own. When Wang Haoren was sizing up Chu Tian also sensed it and looked over. However, Wang Haoren had now transformed into Jiang Yun-er's aunt, so Chu Tian naturally didn't recognize him. He didn't think much about Wang Haoren's sizing up. Moreover, after Chu Tian glanced at Wang Haoren, he was instantly attracted by Jiang Yun-er, who was next to him. Chu Tian was a little stunned when he saw this. When Wang Haoren saw this, he snorted inwardly. This Chu Tian's appearance was very clear that he had taken a fancy to Jiang Yun. The law of meat, buns, and dogs was once again demonstrated. However, Wang Haoren didn't continue observing Chu Tian. Instead, he carefully sensed the others around him. Since Chu Tian was already in place, Yagyu Ichiro should also appear, right? Wang Haoren carefully sensed and didn't miss anyone around him. Soon, Wang Haoren noticed an ordinary-looking man who deliberately concealed his cultivation. Wang Haoren activated his X-ray vision and immediately found that the man's bones, facial bones, muscles, and other places were in a state of compression, making the man look very different from his real appearance. This was the principle of the so-called secret skill of disguise. Wang Haoren changed his appearance. Although the effect seemed to be the same, in fact, there was an essential difference. Wang Haoran's change of appearance was a temporary recombination of the body's cells. He could even imitate the qi movement, making him look real. If one's cultivation wasn't far superior to Wang Haoran's, or if one had other special means of distinguishing, one wouldn't be able to detect it at all. This man was most likely Yagyu. At this moment, he was sizing up Jiang Yun and Wang Haoran with a covetous look in his eyes. Wang Haoran suddenly had some goosebumps. Although Jiang Yun's aunt was a little older, she was still charming. Yagyu obviously wanted to have both of them. On the other side, after staring at Jiang Yun for a while, Chu Tian suddenly noticed something. He immediately came back to his senses and looked in Yagyu direction. Soon, Chu Tian found that something was wrong with Yagyu. Wang Haoran's disguise could deceive Chu Tian, but Yagyu secret skill of disguise was a little worse. Chu Tian saw through it directly. Wang Haoran disguised himself as Jiang Yun's aunt and looked harmless. Even though Yagyu was being sized up by Wang Haoran, he didn't take it seriously at all. However, Chu Tian's attention made Yagyu restrain himself and quickly look away from Jiang Yun. Jiang Yun was unaware of everything around her. After arriving at the restaurant, Jiang Yun asked her aunt what she wanted to eat. Wang Haoran replied casually. After a while, Chu Tian came to the table. Jiang Yun's bodyguards immediately stepped forward to stop the stranger when they saw him approaching. "Hello, I mean no harm," Chu Tian hurriedly said. Jiang Yun didn't like to talk to strangers, so she looked at her aunt and let her deal with it. "Who are you? Are you Yun's fan? If you want an autograph, I can give it to you, but please don't disturb Yun," Wang Haoran said from the perspective of her aunt. When Chu Tian heard that, he immediately knew that the beautiful girl's name was Yun. He couldn't help but think that the name was really nice. He said, "Yes, I'm Yun's fan, but I'm not here for an autograph. I just want to remind you to be careful when you go out." Chu Tian meant well, but there was ambiguity in his words. Wang Haoran tried to figure out his aunt's personality and showed a displeased expression. "Are you threatening us?" he asked. If Jiang Yun's aunt were here, she would probably say the same thing. Anyway, she just didn't like Chu Tian. When Yagyu took action and her aunt and Jiang Yun were in danger, Chu Tian would appear to save them. The effect of the hero saving the beauty would be the best. To put it bluntly, it was all a trick. Chapter 722. Please don't misunderstand. I really don't mean any harm, Chu Tian explained. We're going to eat. Please leave. Wang Haoran directly ordered him to leave. Seeing the attitude of the woman in front of him, Chu Tian couldn't help but sigh. He didn't continue to persuade her and just walked away silently. However, he was secretly planning in his heart and secretly watching their movements. This way, if anything happened, he could help in time. Wang Haoran could roughly guess what Chu Tian was thinking. While eating, he began to think of a countermeasure. Chu Tian's cultivation was at the 9th level of qi refinement, but with a cheating weapon like the primordial sword, his real combat strength could contend against a foundation establishment cultivator. Wang Haoran estimated that he would be able to fight against an ordinary cultivator at level 5 of the foundation establishment stage. In other words, he was at the same level as Yi Fan. Their real combat strength was just the same as the number 1 on the Heaven Cooking leaderboard, Wu Xingtian's level. If there were no variables and their plots didn't clash, they would definitely be able to show off in this foreign race crisis. Unfortunately, there were no ifs. Wang Haoran was the biggest variable. Wang Haoran definitely wanted to take Chu Tian's primordial sword, but he wasn't in a hurry. Because when Wang Haoran judged that Chu Tian's real combat strength was about the same as Yi Fan's, he suddenly had a better idea. That was to cause a conflict between Chu Tian and Yi Fan, causing the two of them to fight to the death. To cause conflict between two men, the best one was undoubtedly a woman. Yi Fan only loved Fang Yurua. To anger Yi Fan, he could only start with Fang Yurua. However, Fang Yurua was far away in Xiongzhou. In order to provoke conflict between Yi Fan and Chu Tian, he specially called Fang Yurua over. This was a little too troublesome. Moreover, an old monster like Yi Fan wouldn't be so easily fooled. Wang Haoran directly dismissed the idea of starting with Yifan. He would definitely use Chu Tian as a breakthrough point. Chu Tian was the protagonist of the annulment. This kind of protagonist was usually more hot-blooded and easily angered for a woman. Compared to Yifan, he was much easier to fool. What was even more wonderful was that there was Jiang Yun, who could provoke Chu Tian's anger. Wang Haoran followed his train of thought and began to formulate a detailed plan while eating with Jiang Yun. After the meal, Wang Haoran followed Jiang Yun back to the hotel room. After Wang Haoran confirmed that no one was eavesdropping around them, he said to Jiang Yun, "I have a surprise for you, but no matter what you see later, you must not scream. Calm down, understand?" Jiang Yun was suspicious, but she still nodded and asked curiously, "Auntie, what surprise do you have for me? Watch carefully." Wang Haoran changed back to his original appearance. Jiang Yun's first reaction was shock. She had grown up in the secular world, and her perception was completely framed by the secular world. The scene in front of her had shaken her 3 views. Fortunately, Wang Haoran had warned her in advance. Although Jiang Yun was frightened, she did not lose control and did not scream. "Are you my auntie or my boyfriend?" Jiang Yun could not tell at that moment. "Of course, I'm your boyfriend." Wang Haoran briefly introduced himself to Jiang Yun. As for the excuse, it was still the same. Jiang Yun was stunned for a long time after hearing that. However, she did not doubt Wang Haoran's words at all. The fear in her heart completely disappeared and was replaced by the joy of reunion. Jiang Yun could not suppress the longing in her heart and took the initiative to throw herself into Wang Haoran's arms. The two of them snuggled for a while before Jiang Yun asked, "Where's my auntie? Why did you change into my auntie's appearance?" "Someone has bad intentions towards you, so I disguised myself as your auntie to protect you. Your auntie is fine. She's in a safe place. I'll bring you to see her." As Wang Haoran spoke, he and Jiang Yun disappeared from the spot and appeared in the heaven-splitting tower. Jiang Yun's auntie was lying quietly in the heaven-splitting tower in a state of deep sleep. "I don't want others to know my true identity, so it's best if you don't tell your auntie about this," Wang Haoran explained. I understand." Jiang Yun nodded obediently and asked, "Oh, right. Who's the one who has bad intentions towards me?" "It's the young man who came over to hit on us when we were about to eat," Wang Haoran said. "Oh, so it's him. However, with you by my side, I'm not afraid." Jiang Yun smiled sweetly. "Of course, I'll protect you and won't let you come to any harm. However, that guy has bad intentions towards you. We can't let him off so easily. I have a way to deal with him, but I'll need your cooperation," Wang Haoran said. "Tell me, what do you want me to do?" Jiang Yun said seriously, "This guy found an actor. He wants to play a hero in front of you and win your favor. However, you don't have to expose him. When the time comes, Wang Haoran instructed Jiang Yun. After Wang Haoran finished speaking, he and Jiang Yun left the heaven-splitting tower. At around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Jiang Yun followed the original plan and took a car to the Go AI training base in the capital to train. Wang Haoran disguised himself as Jiang Yun's auntie and accompanied Jiang Yun. There were also several bodyguards accompanying them. When night fell, everyone left the base and prepared to return to the hotel. However, when the 2 cars passed a remote road without streetlights, there was a big rock in the middle of the road that blocked their way. The car stopped. Several bodyguards got out of the car and prepared to move the big rock away. Yagyu Ichiro, who was hiding in the dark, appeared. Like a ghost, he directly knocked out the bodyguards. Then, he walked toward Wang Haoran and Jiang Yun, who were in one of the cars. Wang Haoran and Jiang Yun got out of the car and prepared to run. Yagyu Ichiro tapped Wang Haoran and Jiang Yun's acupoint from a distance and restrained their movements. Who are you?" Wang Haoran and Jiang Yun both tried to pretend to be frightened. "I'm the one who can make you happy." Yagyu Ichiro's face was full of desire. His eyes wandered between the beautiful woman and the young girl. He reached out and touched the beautiful woman's cheek. Wang Haoran resisted the urge to slap Yagyu Ichiro to death. At the same time, he cursed Chu Tian in his heart. Chu Tian was observing in the dark. However, he was dawdling and did not show up. This is the capital. Don't mess around. Wang Haoran could only try his best to pretend to be afraid. When Yagyu Ichiro heard this, he did not restrain himself. Instead, he went even further. He reached out and wanted to tear off his clothes. At this time, Chu Tian slowly showed up from the dark. Yagyu Ichiro sensed someone. He stopped and retracted his hand that was halfway toward Wang Haoran. How dare you ruin my plan? Do you want to die? Yagyu Ichiro stared at Chu Tian gloomily. I don't have any other hobbies. I just like to meddle in other people's business. Chu Tian laughed. Chapter 723. Boy, I think you're tired of living. When Yagyu Ichiro saw Chu Tian's expression, his eyes turned cold. At the same time, he quietly channeled his spiritual qi. Chu Tian looked relaxed, but he was secretly prepared to deal with it. The two of them looked at each other a few times and then started fighting. The result was no surprise. Yagyu Ichiro was injured and then fled in a sorry state. Chu Tian unsealed Wang Haoran and Jiang Yun's acupoints and immediately chased after Yagyu Ichiro. However, as a Japanese ninja, Yagyu Ichiro had too many ways to escape. Chu Tian lost him and could only turn back. Wang Haoran and Jiang Yun were still waiting in the same place. Annie, I was right. I told you to be careful, Chu Tian said to Wang Haoran with a smile. Wang Haoran forced an awkward expression and did not say anything. Thank you for saving us, Jiang Yun said to Chu Tian timidly. It's my duty to help when I see injustice. When Chu Tian looked at Jiang Yun, the smile on his face deepened. You're Yun, right? Yes, I'm Jiang Yun. Jiang Yun remembered Wang Haoran's instructions. Although she did not want to talk to Chu Tian, she still tried to maintain a gentle tone. When Chu Tian saw Jiang Yun speaking so gently, he felt that he had met love. Then, he eagerly said that he would send Jiang Yun and her Annie back. After arriving at the hotel, Chu Tian said, I've received some news. It's not very peaceful here recently. That person ran away. He won't come back for us, right? Jiang Yun said worriedly. That's very likely, Chu Tian said seriously. Jiang Yun looked panicked when she heard that. Don't worry. If you want, I can be your bodyguard temporarily and guarantee your safety, Chu Tian said. This, Jiang Yun hesitated. If you think it's difficult, then forget it. You're on your own. Chu Tian scared her. Then I'll have to trouble you to protect me, Jiang Yun said. No trouble at all. Chu Tian was overjoyed. I'll help you book a room in this hotel. When Yuner goes out, I'll have to trouble you to protect her. As for the reward, name a price. Wang Haoran said, That's up to you. You can decide how much you want, Chu Tian said indifferently. He did not care about money. What he cared about was that he could get close to Jiang Yun. When Wang Haoran saw Chu Tian staring at Jiang Yun's face without blinking, he secretly sneered. After making arrangements for Chu Tian, Wang Haoran and Jiang Yun returned to the room. Stay here and don't go out. I'll be back soon, Wang Haoran instructed before sneaking out of the hotel. In his plan, he needed to pretend to be Yagyu Ichiro, so he had to deal with the real Yagyu Ichiro. When he had met Yagyu Ichiro before, Wang Haoran had secretly left a spiritual imprint on Yagyu Ichiro. When Wang Haoran triggered the spiritual imprint, he immediately knew Yagyu Ichiro's location. When Wang Haoran found Yagyu Ichiro was still confused about the situation. Wang Haoran did not waste time talking nonsense with Yagyu Ichiro. He directly restrained him and used his spiritual imprint to forcibly read his memories. At this point, Yagyu Ichiro was no longer of any value. Wang Haoran directly burned Yagyu Ichiro into ashes with a golden core fire, leaving no trace behind. After doing all this, Wang Haoran returned to Jiang Yun's room in the hotel. He was now pretending to be Jiang Yun's aunt. No one thought there was a problem with him staying with Jiang Yun. It was nighttime, and the night was long. Of course, Wang Haoran wanted to talk to Jiang Yun about life and dreams. Ding! The host has captured the female lead Jiang Yun for the first time. Obtained 12,000 villain points. Jiang Yun female lead Halo -600. Chu Tian protagonist Halo -600. Host villain Halo plus 1200. Ding. The female lead Jiang Yun, Er's favorability towards the host is increased by 10. Current favorability is 90 until death. At this moment, Chu Tian was in his room, still fantasizing about a romantic relationship with Jiang Yun. The next day, Jiang Yun, went out to the base for training. Chu Tian accompanied her and was very responsible. Jiang Yun occasionally smiled shyly at him or gave him a bottle of water. Chu Tian was even more excited. This made Chu Tian feel that Jiang Yun liked him too. After 2 or 3 days, Chu Tian could not hold back anymore. He was secretly thinking about confessing to Jiang Yun. Wang Haoran didn't stay idle either. During this period of time, he had inquired about Yi Fan's residence from Yi Wuhan and roughly figured out what Yi Fan would do at different times. That night, Chu Tian finally could not hold back the love in his heart and came to Jiang Yun's room. After pacing around the door for a while, Chu Tian wanted to reach out and knock on the door, but he found that the door was ajar. In the crack of the door, he could vaguely hear Jiang Yun's faint cry for help. Chu Tian realized that something had happened. He pushed the door open and rushed into the bedroom to take a look. He saw that the quilt was moving up and down. Jiang Yun's voice was coming from it. Chu Tian felt like he was struck by lightning. As Chu Tian walked in, the person in the quilt was shocked. An ordinary-looking man turned his head and was shocked. He then got out of the quilt, picked up the clothes on the ground, and rushed out of the window. Jiang Yun only showed her head. Her face was full of tears, as if she had been tortured endlessly. Chu Tian naturally understood what had happened. In an instant, anger filled his heart, and all his rationality was covered. He circulated all his spiritual energy and chased after the person who rushed out of the window. In a quiet and secluded mansion, Wu Xingtian was meditating in the room. Suddenly, he felt a very familiar aura. His wrinkled eyelids slowly opened. His figure instantly left the room and came to the source of the aura. However, the person had disappeared. Wu Xingtian recognized this aura. It was from Yagyu Ichiro from Fusang. Wu Xingtian could completely guess that Yagyu Ichiro wanted to sneak in to inquire about the situation. After sensing danger, he immediately fled. He could also vaguely sense the direction in which the aura escaped. Yagyu Ichiro and Qian Hizhini had the secret technique to change their appearance and could easily sneak into the capital. They were a big problem. Wu Xingtian sensed Yagyu Ichiro's aura and chased after him without hesitation. He wanted to get rid of this big problem. Just a moment after Wu Xingtian left, Chu Tian arrived outside the mansion with a monstrous, murderous aura. Chu Tian followed the aura of the ordinary-looking man. However, when the aura reached here, it suddenly disappeared. In the mansion, Yi Fan, who was cultivating in a room, was disturbed by the murderous aura. Yi Fan only knew that it was an outsider who came here to make trouble, so he hurried to the source of the murderous aura. Yi Fan saw a man with a face full of anger. This man's appearance was clearly from the Yin country. He did not match the outsiders on the heaven roll. But what was with this murderous aura? Yi Fan was about to ask when Chu Tian took out the primordial sword and slashed at Yi Fan. Although Yi Fan was prepared, he did not expect the primordial sword's power. The impact caused his chi and blood to surge. A Khanate cardinal treasure, Yi Fan immediately determined the level of the weapon in Chu Tian's hand and was shocked. However, what he wanted to know the most was why this person in front of him attacked him for no reason. Yi Fan did not know the reason, but Chu Tian knew. Yi Fan's appearance and aura were the same as the person who bullied Jiang Yun. Why would Chu Tian waste his breath on Yi Fan? Chu Tian was furious. The only thought in his mind was to kill this bastard in front of him. I have never plotted with you, Your Highness. Yi Fan wanted to ask to know the reason. Die, bastard. The primordial sword shone brightly and slashed at Yi Fan again.